Noon and welcome everybody to the largest safari vehicle in the world. My name is Tristan. On camera today I have got Craig. Craig, are you not going to give us a thumbs up today? Oh, there we go. There was a brief glimpse of Craig's thumb. Batman is still probably hanging upside down with his wings over his face at this stage and is battling to wake up, given that it is bright sunshine. But there are some clouds, which hopefully will mean that we'll have a sort of fairly nice day out here. You can see a few little clouds that are kind of there. There's a couple big storm clouds that are building in certain areas, which means that we might get some rain. Now, I would like to know from you guys, do you think we're going to get rain or don't you? And you can let me know on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or YouTube chat. It's also how you can ask any questions that you might have during the course of the next few hours. So that's what's going to be happening. I'm on my way currently on Central Road. We went past Gallagher, where apparently there were some alarm calls that Rebecca and Craig heard, but I couldn't find any tracks, and I think if it is anything, it's in the drainage line just down below Gallagher Camp, which we know at the best of times is really not an easy place to get a car into, and in fact you can't get a car into there at all, even in the winter months. And so what we're going to do is we're going to carry on, and we'll come back there towards the end of the safari and see maybe if something does pop out, or maybe Rebecca will hear some more alarm calls from the final control, given that she is there. So in the meantime, I'm going to head up into the northeastern corner of the property and go and carry on with my Tandi mission from this morning, see if maybe I can find where she is. In the meantime, I'm not the only one out here. Steve, who apparently we resemble each other, is going to be on foot this afternoon, which is really nice, and it's a big welcome back to Herbie. So let's send you across there so that they can say hello.
Thanks, Tristan. Do we resemble each other truly, ladies and gentlemen? I think we need to have a face-off, him and I. Well, we are walking through the middle of the property right now. My name is Steve Falconbridge. I'm joined on camera by Fergus. And we are going to make our way towards Gallagher Pan, where apparently there were sounds of a leopard earlier today. Because as you all know, this is the area of leopards. This is Djuma in the Sabi Sand, South Africa, where the weather today is 33 degrees Celsius, 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Feels about right. There is a little bit of cloud cover coming off in the distance as we are just on a morning stroll. My first bush walk in some weeks now, so I'm feeling really excited about stretching my legs. Please, as always, feel free to send your questions through to hashtag Safari Live. Follow us on the YouTube stream. Let us know what you'd like to focus on this afternoon. Here we've got some impala just up ahead, Ferg. Nice breeding herd of impala. Seemingly quite relaxed. Seeing the bipedal man on foot. They're not causing too much alarm. They've definitely got the space. We'd have to get within about 20 meters of them for them to get a little bit freaked out from us. But on that note, let's jump over to Taylor McCurdy, see what she's up to.
Well, we're going to be buzzing about, unlike these flies today that are just taking a rest on some leaves. How wonderful. But as you can imagine, we are here at the Carcass. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is VM. And I'm already distracted. You can't see it. Can you see the thing? No, it's not showing itself. Hang on, wait, let me show you. She said, just jumped in my face. That was terrible. Anyways, it was a grasshopper or an attacking praying mantis of sorts that was trying to steal the show today. So if you would like to ask questions, all you have to do is hashtag Safari Live or talk to us via the YouTube chat. Now, we are at a carcass, the one where the elephant had died. And sure, well, the animals have done a very good job of cleaning up. Don't you think? I think they've done exceptionally well today. Not much left at all. Just lots of flies. I bet the carrion beetles are going to come on in as well. I think that's going to be the case. But for now, there's no vultures, no hyenas, no leopards laying about. Or we could probably still search a little bit better for some lying leopards. Now, driving in, and actually, funny enough, driving around Treehouse Dam, you get whiffs of this carcass. So, Carla, it does smell. I suppose it just depends which way the wind is blowing, but it doesn't smell as bad as what it did. There's a little bit of liquid that's still lurking in those bones and the crevices. It's quite gross. That's the head. And then the skin is a bit stinky, but the rest of it is not so bad at all. It's not too bad. And I was saying to VM, I'm quite excited to come and do a walk around here at some point. And have a look and see what we can find. Maybe we find some cool feathers. It'd be nice to see if there are any carrion beetles. I haven't seen a carrion beetle for a very long time, and they're so fascinating. There's some ribs and the spine, and dragged it about quite a bit. And I mean, as time passes, a lot of these bones are going to be distributed even further and further away. What is that? Are they carrion beetles? Yes. Hello. I don't know if those are carrion beetles. They're definitely beetles of sorts. Oh, hello. Lots of them crawling around. Those mating ones. Look, there's mating beetles. Now, I think I heard correctly. I think we're talking about the flies that we were looking at earlier. You might see a few that are about. The others are resting on the leaves. So, Conrad, I don't actually know how long these flies live for. Normally, the life cycle of most insects is not quite, it's not too long at all. It's fairly short. But I think what's going on over here, I think these could be the male flies. Normally, what happens is that the male flies will all congregate around like this, waiting for a female to come around. And perhaps there's no ladies in the vicinity today. And these guys are just having a bit of a rest, building up for the weekend. But there are lots of them. So when you come to a carcass like this, it's not really nice, heavy, and when one lands on your face, it's quite terrible. But they're sitting everywhere. But let's carry on. So we haven't had any luck here. I'm going to do a big loop quickly. And I think we might go into this back section of the Mulwati, maybe also check around Twin Dams, just to have a quick look to see if Tingana hasn't popped in. He's been spending quite a bit of time around here and doing little circles in and out of Little Gowrie. Okay, so it seems as though Tristan's just checking a couple of boundaries, which makes a lot of sense as these animals do move around during the day. Let's go see if he's found anything interesting.
Well, they do, Taylor. So we know particularly some of our leopards love to move around during the course of the day in Tingana and Hosana. Both of them kind of plod along in the day and go and check things out. Tandi the other day was moving during the day, so it's not a bad thing, and it's always nice when you head out in the afternoon knowing that you might have a bit of luck. And with some cloud and a bit of wind, you never know, maybe our leopards have been moving. But you can see I'm crawling along very, very slowly at the moment, and so Craig and I have decided that we're going to do a slow safari this afternoon. We are going to just go and take it as slow as we can and take things as they come. Of course, if I hear alarm calls, that will all just go flying out the window. But we've decided that this is going to be a different approach today. This morning, we drove around a little quicker and we looked around and we covered a bit of distance. So this afternoon, we're going to go the slow and steady approach and hopefully not miss anything. And maybe we'll get lucky with something deciding to step out in front of us. That's the idea anyway. And hopefully we're going to get it right. What do you think, Craig? Winning recipe. Craig thinks it's a winning recipe. He thinks that we're going to find something if we take the slow approach. So, Rebecca, yeah, we'll get further than 2 kilometers. Look, I'm already at Buffelzoek boundary with Gowrie cut line. So if I go slowly like this, then we'll definitely do more than 2 kilometers. But if we stop, then we're going to have a bit of a problem. Then we might not make it, but we'll try our very, very best. The other nice thing about driving like this is that I can drive without having to use my feet. So I can drive pretty much like this, and the car drives itself, which is very, very cool. So I don't have to worry too much, and I can actually almost be like I'm on the beach, having a little look around and seeing what's going on, which is very, very cool. So there we go. You can see it actually works quite well. Now, of course, I can't turn the engine off, Rebecca, otherwise it won't go anywhere. Then we'll just sit and I'll just be sun-tanning rather than game driving. So we'll try and see if we can drive, because I want to know from Rebecca. Rebecca, have you ever tried to drive like this and use your feet to drive? That's also true. If I don't... So Rebecca has never tried to drive with her feet. I don't know if anybody else has ever tried to drive with their feet. It's really difficult. Obviously in this car there's not enough space for me to drive with my feet. As you can see, I'm already kind of with my knees around my ears and my feet are still sticking over the top of the dashboard. But if my feet were a little, well, my legs are a bit shorter, I would attempt to try and drive with my feet and see how it works. But I've seen people do it. It's pretty amazing. I don't know how people manage to do it, and it's I suppose your feet are pretty adaptable and mobile. Now, I'm a bit on the irritable side when I started Game Drive this afternoon, because somebody in our camp decided and it wasn't Taylor who originally got out the condensed milk, but somebody in camp decided to get out condensed milk today and put it in the fridge, and they didn't do a good job, and so now I have condensed milk all over my leg. And if anyone who knows what condensed milk's like, it's very, very sticky, and so I have this sticky residue all down my right hand leg here, and I can even see spots of condensed milk on my leg itself. Now, Craig, don't worry about zooming in, I'll have to stop for that. Right, let's not crash and die in a sort of mount of flames, because we're going around the corner, and so we need to focus on what we're doing. Thank you very much, Rebecca. I'm working on my flexibility. I feel like a yoga club though, because there's a yoga club that happened, and the thing, and even some of the guys join in as well, so maybe I need to join that flexibility on point. But thanks, Rebecca, I appreciate that. I thought we did quite well there in the dismount from dashboard driving. So clearly the universe has decided that seeing my hairy legs over the top of a bonnet is no good, and gremlins are jumping on, so let's send you across to Steve instead.
What are you talking about, Tristan? Anyway, we are with some tracks here. We've just cut across the road. Herbie is with us, as always, to look after us on these walks and to interpret sort of tracks. And what we have on the ground here is the front foot, and this is the left. No, hang on. Yeah, there's the left foot and the left foot. So the front and the back. You can see where it is here. 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. Back pad. The outside toes are quite wide compared to the pad, which shows you quite clearly that is a male. If you look in the track over here in the book, the male's tracks are quite wide, the toes, as opposed to the females, which are very delicate on the side of the pad. And another way to measure it is obviously to put a line. You can measure that with a ruler, and the ruler will give you an indication. That should be above 9, about 9 centimeters. Okay, but what's interesting about this is the speed at which it's walking. You can see the front foot and then the back foot and the distance between. So if we put a line here between, that's showing that it's walking quite fast. Normally a male walking like this is kind of in a territorial kind of movement. He's probably scent marking, he's moving quickly, there's no need to be walking slowly, he's not hunting. Or if he is hunting, he'll start stepping on the back foot. The back foot on the front foot for the what we call the direct register, to walk silently. But that's often why they use roads. They can cover a lot more ground. They'll walk with the wind cutting across them, and once they pick up the scent of something, then they might go into stealth mode. They go either left or right into the block. So these tracks are probably from this morning or last night. They're heading back the way we've come. We're going to keep heading towards Galago, a pan close to Galago Lodge, and see if we can find any activity of the leopard that was reportedly heard around there a few hours ago. So please join us, get your backpacks on, lots of water, have your binoculars at the ready, and a little bit of sun cream on your nose, because it is quite a warm afternoon. Let's go, Ferg. Okay, well, as we mission through the long grass here, trying to avoid the snakes and all the things hidden underneath, let's go over to Taylor. Let's see what she's up to.
Luckily, Steve, I've very well experienced in this department of traveling through long grass with snakes. All you have to do is just clap as you walk. Well, I did that to my mother, as most of you know. Maybe Steve can put that to the test today and see if it really, really works. I'm just joking. You'd terrify all the animals. And of course, Steve knows that that wouldn't work. What have you got? Oh, it's our friends that are here all the time. A Battalier eagle. Normally there's 2 of them. Actually, I've seen like 4 or 5 of them sitting here before. We'll have a look. Is it eating something? I think it might actually be. Under its right foot. No, it's not eating anything. That is a little knot of the tree, or perhaps it once was a branch that's now snapped off. But a beautiful Battalier eagle, looking around, fluttering its eyelids. No. What are you doing? Oh, you're cleaning your beak. Now you can see why I would have thought it was eating something, the way that it's behaving. But often you see birds like that wiping their beaks or their bills on the side of a branch. Can you hear all those birds alarming? What are they shouting at? A snake? Is there another bateleur eagle somewhere? Is there a leopard? What is it? Let me put my foot on the clutch and roll back. What's going on in there? Oh no. Hear that? BM, we're going in. We are going off-roading. Something's in here. Because now I hear Franklin's. Okay. I don't know why you can't hear it because it's very loud. Let's quickly go in here. Please don't be any holes. It might be a snake. I don't know. There's just francolins that were alarming. There's testiculars here, which also can be gossipers sometimes. Where even are you? Can we see them? Oh, there. Let me go forward. See, and then I heard Franklin's alarming down there. We are going to try and look for Tandi. Quick look, and then we're going to go to Chitwa. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm concentrating hard here, so I apologize if I don't look back at all of you. Big animal pathway too. Let's just follow it down and that fireworks from an old an old stump. I didn't know they could still jump like that when they died. Anyways, I was lucky. That's how accidents happen. Can't see any tracks on this pathway. We'll just have a little look here anyways. Oh, it gets a bit thicker here. I wonder what it was. It was just weird how the birds were sort of calling, and it sounded like there was some francolins in this drainage line here. Well, that makes me nervous when one tire disappears. Where am I? I'm just off Leadwood. That is where I am. But quite close to sort of Gari Main. I'm just having a little look. There's a nest of sorts. I don't know if you can see in that massive tree, like in there. Maybe it was a raptor. If you go up just a little bit and to the right, there we go, there's the nest. I don't know who's made that nest. It just looks very raptor-like, like maybe a bateleur or a tawny eagle or something like that. It doesn't look huge, so I don't think it would maybe be a vulture. Vultures normally have quite large nests. And this is sort of where the birds were all alarming. So perhaps it was something flying from tree to tree. And, you know, something's going on here. I just don't know what. Okay. Well, not much luck in here, but we could have quite easily missed something. Tristan is also searching for animals that will make birds alarm. Let's go see if he's found himself a leopard yet.
Oh, is that what we're supposed to be doing, Taylor? I forgot completely. I didn't realize. I thought we were just on a day cruise. We didn't have to worry about animals. But okay, since we have to search for animals, I'll start actually paying attention and start looking around and seeing what I can find. And tanning at the same time, yes. I feel like tanning is probably not done very well by the Safari Live team as a group of presenters, because we all have the so-called farmer tan that we call it in South Africa, which is shorts tan, socks tan, and a t-shirt tan, because we just spend all our life in that and in the sun like that, and so none of us particularly have a great tan to talk about at all. I suppose maybe the only one would probably be Scotty, because Scotty, I think, and maybe Brent, the two of them live without their shirts on more than they live with their shirts on. It's just like they have to wear them for drive, but otherwise they don't wear them at all. Now, I'm pretty sure some people wouldn't mind them going on drive without shirts on, but the rest of us don't want to be scarred, and so we've insisted that they wear them. Anyway, let's try and find some animals. We've been completely kind of taken off track over the course of this afternoon already. We've done some ridiculous things and having ridiculous conversations. So let's try and rather start narrowing things down a little bit and start trying to actually focus on the job at hand. Maybe a little leopard will sort us out and straighten us out and get us back onto what we should be doing. But so far, no sign. I took Hyena Road just as a random road because we very, very, very seldom drive Hyena Road. It's not a road that we drive often, but I know that every now and then little things hide on Hyena Road, things that we don't even know about. And so I know Gajima walks here every now and then, Tandi walks here every now and then. And then you've got a buffalo that hangs about here, a hippo that hangs about here. So it's always a good place just to double check and just to make sure. You never know what can kind of pop out. So I do it every now and then. It's good just to drive different roads. After a year and a bit of driving on Juma, it's nice when you take a road you haven't driven for a while. Elaine, no news of Shadow and Cub, really. Obviously, there was this report of this fight between Shadulu and... Like I say, some said Shadow, some said Tandi, so no one really knows for sure. That's why I'm so keen to find Tandi, because if we find cuts and scrapes on Tandi, we're going to know for sure it was her that was involved in that fight. But that's the only kind of update that I've heard. Otherwise, there has been not a single sighting of Shadow or the cub since... when was the last sighting? February, 9th of February, I think? Maybe, somewhere there. It's a stab in the dark, but I think 9th of February was the last time that she was seen. So it was a long, long, long time ago. And, you know, as the days go by, the uncertainty increases and the worry grows. So hopefully we'll get a situation where she'll kind of appear somewhere soon, and maybe even not Barbara to appear somewhere soon. But still no updates, I'm afraid. I know it's not what a lot of people want to hear, but it's unfortunately the reality is that we just haven't seen her. No reported sightings of her. Highly doubt that... you know, in this sort of period of time that we wouldn't have seen her. It worries me a little bit that we haven't. Anyway, let's try and think positively. We hoping that she is around. Maybe it was her that was fighting with Shadulu, and that would be quite interesting if it was. I just don't see it, to be honest. I feel like where we left Tandi, the chances of Shadow just miraculously being there, and Tandi, you know, being less than 400 meters around away and not actually joining that sighting is very, very, very slim. So I think it was more likely Tandi than anybody else. The good news, though, if it was Tandi, and Tandi and Shadulu obviously had this fight, and I say the good news, is that if it was Tandi that was involved in this fight, she's been a very busy girl over the last 2 days. She's walked quite a bit by the looks of things, so that's always a good sign. When a leopard is walking and it's moving, and her coming all the way to sort of Gallagher Pan and then coming along and walking back this area is a good sign that she's not sporting a really bad injury that she's struggling with a little bit. Because a leopard that's badly injured is not going to move very far. It's going to try and find a place just to lie down and stay kind of sheltered and try and lick its wounds and try and get itself up and running. So I don't think that she's too badly affected, which is good. There's no sign in the tracks that she's dragging any feet or anything like that. Her tracks look quite nice and kind of normal, and the gait looks good as well. So I think she maybe just has a few superficial scratches. Fine afternoon, and that hopefully will lead us to some answers as to what's going on. Right, now, apparently we're still having issues with signal, so while I try and get better signal, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's out of the block and maybe has an update on what was causing the noises.
Tristan, I heard that if you drive around like this, it actually helps bring signal back. Hey, VM? You have to have foil on your fingers, though, says VM, and then I think you also got to go when you're looking for signal, and then that normally helps. So maybe give that advice to Tristan. Ooh. Now, something that I haven't actually seen for a very long time is a snared animal. So Peter, yes, occasionally we do find animals with snares on them. For those of you that don't know what a snare is, it's a very basic trap normally made out of wire and sort of like a slip knot type thing that animal puts its head or its foot or its trunk or its tail or some part of it, and it pulls really tight. So it does happen. You normally see it actually down. I'll tell you where you see it the most. I'm just checking here very carefully. As on the anywhere on the Kruger National Park boundaries, I find there seems to be a lot of these sort of traps. And normally it's for bushmeat. illegal poaching, so it's just sort of small-scale poaching rather than hunting an elephant or something like that. They're going for bushbuck or nyala or an impala or a kudu, even a zebra, something along those lines. And but unfortunately they set those traps, and that doesn't stop a wild dog from being quite curious around it, or an elephant or anything like that. So the vets then, when an animal is snared, and if you do see it, it's always best you call the rangers and kind of try and stay and wait with that animal so it doesn't get lost. Otherwise, well, the animal will disappear, and then help might not be able to find, well, no one may be able to find it. So I don't know, I'm struggling to find my words today. Oh goodness, it must be the heat. And so there's many elephants that we've actually seen on the show that have been snared and lost parts of their trunks, which is very, very sad, of course. No one really wants to see that. So that's why we pick up all the wire. Even when we're walking around and there's old fences that are, you know, starting to show again, we will cut the wire and try and remove it. So this is kind of the area where we had Tandi. This is where we first started picking up on her tracks yesterday. We're going to keep going back up towards Central. I'm just checking very carefully to see if she has sort of walked up and down, walked around here, but so far, no luck. Okay, it seems as though Steve is on a mission today. He's walking quite far and fast. He's arrived at Galagopan, and I think he's already planning on heading off.
Yes, there's not too much going on at Galagopan. So apparently there was reports someone heard a leopard around Galagopan. I'm not quite sure what they might have heard, but one thing I do know for sure is the male impalas have started to do their noises, and if you've heard them before, a lot of people can confuse that for what they think is probably something that's going to come and eat them. So I've no idea where that report came from. Bex, maybe you can enlighten me. But we've got a nice young specimen of a tree over here, and I'd love to throw it out to the viewers what leaf structure this might be, in fact. Very, very interesting. I have been quizzing you on leaves for the last few days. Tell me if you know what leaf structure this is, and I will tell you it is a marula. Very easily identified by the fact that these little PTO lulus over here, you can see where the little leaflet is attached. There is a little stalk over there. It makes it quite easy to identify. And also the marula has got what we call a terminal leaflet. So I wonder how many of you have been listening and paying attention in the last few days. The marula as well, when you wipe the leaf, almost this white sort of powder, this sheen comes off. It's quite easy to remember because if you actually chew on these leaves and you swallow the astringent that you get from them, it's actually good for heartburn and acid reflux. Okay, so this time of year, when we do find elephants, you'll notice the elephants are doing a lot of damage to the bark of the marulas because there's also antihistamine properties derived from the bark itself, which by ingesting will heal all sorts of tick bites or injuries or scratches. You know, elephants aren't able to scratch as well as you and I can. Nice, Ferg. Amelia, no, we do not feed the animals. The only treats that we carry are for Ferg, because he gets quite grumpy if you don't feed him. I'm only joking, he doesn't get very grumpy. All of the guides will bring fruit and stuff out on drive, but for ourselves, we do not feed animals. One of the things to realize out here in the wilderness is if you feed animals, you're pretty much signing their death warrant because they need to survive out here naturally. The fruit that they eat is very limited with regards to nutrients and flesh. And if you give them something that we've produced, be it an apple or banana or something like that, they're going to learn, wow, that is incredible. How can I go back to eating grass and twigs? So you've got to be very careful not to feed animals because they will learn that behavior. So, ooh, Ferg, I wonder if you can get this guy. A little orange tip butterfly on the snake bite bush. Oh, there he is. How beautiful is that? There are so many little butterflies around here where we've been walking. Very tricky to get it though. Anyway, marvelous. Here's the Wiltheria. This is the snake bite bush over here. Also scientifically known as Wiltheria. And very nice butterflies and moths absolutely love the flowers on here. And you can use the leaves as a poultice. If you know what a poultice is, if I take off a number of these leaves and I crush them down quite heavily, mash them, and then where you've been bitten by a snake, then put it in there and then wrap it quite sort of delicately into the wound, and hopefully it will eliminate the death that is going to ensue from the snake bite. Well, apparently it works, but most of the time with snake bites, what you've got to do is you've got to prevent the inflammation and treat the symptoms. And what is going to happen, a lot of the time, someone's going to stop breathing, so you need to be able to deal with someone's breathing. That's very, very important. So while we continue on, let's go back over to Tristan for an update.
Well, I'm trying Taylor's technique, and it seems to be working, of keeping bunny ears on my head to keep signal. So we were trying to do it and see how it went. The problem is that Rusty's steering is so out that I let go of the steering wheel, and we'll be back at Yuma Camp before we even know it, or we'll just be doing circles around ourselves like a bunch of donuts. So it'll be pretty much a futile exercise to drive like that. So hopefully Rusty has now caught the signal by doing this, and that they are now there and we don't have to worry. Although those weren't very good bunny ears. I feel like those were more like feelers. Bunny ears would have to be something like that, I think. What do you think, Craig? One hand or two? Two is good, eh? So like that, Craigie. Or in the front, I suppose, would look better if I was facing forward. I don't know, something like that. Right, anyway, we're trying to find tracks for Tandi. So far, I cannot find a single thing for her coming out of this area. Still doesn't seem like she's made a move towards where we are. So I think she's still inside this block and just resting. Kang Sang, the reason why we don't use drones all the time to spot certain animals is because, well, it's pretty invasive for a lot of the other guests in the area, and guys that are on game drives, they don't want to have a drone flying around all the time. And so we do use drones when we find an animal and we want to be able to follow it through an area that we can't follow with a car. So we have a drone and drone pilots that will basically help us out when we get something like the wild dogs that are quite mobile and difficult to follow. Then we'll use them, but we don't use it for spotting purposes, just because it also is something that is a little bit invasive, like I say, on their safari experience. It's quite a loud thing, especially the ones that are good enough to broadcast to all of you and to show you what's going on, and so that's why we don't. The other reason is that drones in this area are not something that is really easily flyable. You don't have a lot of permission to fly a lot of drones. We get special permission to do it. In fact, in the Kruger National Park, it's completely illegal. You may not fly a drone at all. It's just that we are luckily part of that kind of area, and we're on a private sector that we've gotten permission to fly the one drone, and that's really just to kind of broadcast animals rather than actually find them. And the reason why they don't like them is because drones can be used as a poaching tool, and obviously there's a big push to try and eradicate poaching of rhinos and elephants and all kinds of things, and so drones in the sky complicate that quite quickly, and that's why they kind of ask us not to use them as much, and not to use them, well, not as much, but too much is probably the right call. So we try to be as ethical as possible about the use of the drone, try not to disturb animals too much, and only use it when we need it. Hello, tracks for Tandi on top of my vehicle tracks. Where are you? Right, so this is good news. We've got tracks for her. She's come out on top of my vehicle tracks from the morning, which is good. So I was right that she was in this block. I just didn't go far enough this morning. I'm sure I would have bumped into her eventually. So her tracks are going the opposite way towards the pan. I didn't see anything at the pan itself, but I'll try and show you the tracks that I'm talking about, because you might think that I'm completely mad and that there aren't any, but I can assure you that there are tracks for her. I'm just trying to find a nice set that Craig's going to be able to see. These are all difficult. So Michelle, you're eagerly awaiting news on Tandi, and so you would like to see her today. Well, there's her tracks there. So Craig, I think it's going to be better if I try to go forward and then reverse back. But this is good news that we've got her tracks here. I'm glad that we finally found where she came out. Now, hopefully she hasn't crossed the boundary There we go, Craig. Can you get those ones down the road there? So you can see them quite clearly. No sign of any cub tracks, though. Just tracks for her at this stage. But there they are in the middle of the road walking. And you can see my tire track from this morning is quite blatantly on top of my tire tracks. So these tracks are quite good. They were from the course of the day. And now it's just about trying to find exactly where she went and where she walked. But this is really good news, and so hopefully we'll be able to find her. I don't see them carrying on too far, and so I'm pretty sure we're going to have to try and do a bit of walking about just to see what goes on. I just want to double check one more spot quickly while we kind of do this. Maybe she's lying right here somewhere, so let's just double check as we go and drive very, very slowly. So I don't want to ruin any of the tracks too much, and going back and forth, obviously I can squash quite a lot of tracks, so I want to try and kind of have a look as much as possible and try and see if I can find her. Rowan, no, not all baby animals are called cubs. You cannot apply the term cubs to a baby antelope or a baby bird or a baby what else? Fish or anything like that. Cubs are for cats and some other species like hyenas and the likes. Honey badgers or so, honey badger cubs or pups. I suppose honey badgers are pups actually, sorry. So it's different terms for different species of baby animals. You've got pups, you've got cubs, you've got foals, you've got lambs. So it depends on what kind of animal it is. We'll give you a different chicks as well. Yes, exactly. Fry for fish. So I think fish lucked out. They didn't really get the nicest baby animal name. All the others are quite fun to say, but fry is, you don't really want to be a fry, and especially if you're a fish. Fry is, it denotes a really bad consequence that you're going to get kind of eaten and fried in a pan. So I don't know why they called them fry, but anyway, apparently if you're a little baby fish, you're known as a fry, which is, I suppose, quite sad given that they do get fried. Alright, let's check at this junction. This is where I wanted to check. There is that waterhole behind me, which I'm going to have to just do a bit of walking around to double check because I don't see any tracks at all in this area coming this way. So I need to get a hold of Rex as well and just let him know that I've picked up tracks because Rex is in the area helping me. So I want to just check here. So those are hyena tracks. That's not for her. Check a little bit further forward. Now I see there's another car there, which I don't know who that is, so I want to try and get hold of them before they drive over my tracks. Station approaching Gwaripan. Now somebody's not answering me. Yeah, Rex, I found tracks for Tandi here on top of my vehicle tracks from this morning, just on the western side of Gwaripan. They don't go to the pan as far as I can see. It looks like they might cut off, so I don't know if you want to just maybe have a look there. I unfortunately can't get off the vehicle at the moment. So Rex is going to help me. He's going to go on foot to go and double check there. I'm trying to see if I can pick up anything on this side. There's more hyena tracks. So I wonder, maybe she's got a kill here if she's got hyena tracks kind of moving around that are also on top of my vehicle by the looks of things. So I'm just trying to double check. Although I don't see anything coming out at all. Now, this looks like there might be something on the road in front, so I'm going to have a little look. While I do that, let's send you back across to Taylor.
Sorry I was gone for so long. I was chatting to some guests of Rexon, and they were asking me 5,000 questions, so I couldn't talk to any of you. Rebecca, you know, I just have to tell you that in order for me to avoid driving over Tristan's tracks and things like that, I had to turn around and I had to go down a dodgy road. But it won't take me long to get off of this dodgy road, I promise. But there may be some gremlins along the way, so I'm apologizing in advance, just because I know this road well. And I think what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go towards Chitwa. I don't think there's much on the property at the moment. We checked Treehouse Dam. There was nothing around at all. So we'll probably go down towards the dam and see if we can get some elephants, come in to swim or come in to have a drink. That's really going to be my plan today, is try to find elephants, and then if we're lucky, maybe we get a Hosana or a Tingana a little bit later too. Should probably try to swap over radio channels now, hey? Shall I do that? Then maybe we can start hearing. I don't think the Chitwa guides are out yet. It might be a bit early for them. I think they only go out at... What time is it now? Only at 4:30. Somewhere around there. 4:30, yes, Rebecca. I think the other safari guides are only going out at that time. It's hot still. We don't mind though. We're strong. We just put lots of sunscreen on. I'm trying to think what else we can do today. Yeah, Becky, hello. Yeah, we do have plenty African wildcats, serval and caracal around here in Djuma. We just don't see them very often. There's obviously a high density of other predators around, so they need to be, well, super stealth mode and sort of slink around them and not get into their way. I've seen caracal here in the northern Sabi Sands on Chitwa. That was quite cool. Not Chitwa, Cheetah Plains. I've seen a serval on Battleair Road once, and I have not seen an African wildcat since I've been here, but there was one seen the other night. I know Shanae from Nkoro actually posted a picture. So they're around. You've just got to be lucky enough to catch them at the right time. And if you can find one in an area, I promise you, if you keep checking that area regularly, you'll figure out where their territory is. So as soon as we can find an African wildcat, but that's also difficult at this time of the year because of all the very tall grass. Winter's a bit easier to spot those creatures. So we'll keep an eye out for them now. But VM and I are constantly looking for the smaller cats. I do prefer them. I love caracal. Caracal are amazing. I can't believe we didn't get one gremlin there. That's incredible. Wild roosters or wild hens. Sam, you know, those I have not seen. The closest that we kind of get to that is, well, the crested francolins and then the guinea fowl. However, the communities are not too far from Gowrie Gate and around there. So I suppose, you know, maybe one day we're going to hear a cock-a-doodle-oo, and it's going to be a rooster that's flown in from the community. It will get a shock here, though. It will be caught by an eagle, by any of the raptors, and then of course, well, a leopard or a lion would probably find it quite interesting and would have gone, we've never seen that bird before. So I don't think it would last very long if one flew in, and so it's not impossible to see them. But we've got other ground-dwelling birds that sort of fly about, you know, the say, and they roost up in trees. They spend most of their day down on the ground. Like I said, crested francolins, Natal spurfowls, Swainson spurfowls, guinea fowl. No, come back. That's a go-away bird. That's not any of the birds that look like chickens, however, but it's gone right to the top of the marula tree. Please do not let it be one of those safaris today. Please can we have all the animals? I would like to see all the animals. And I thought we were going to get little gatherings. There's lots of little mud wallows around here that are nice and full now. No one is around, not even warthogs wallowing away, which they love to do. Which is what, if I was warthog, they'd be in a wallow, definitely. That would most certainly be the case. I'm also just checking for any cool insects as we drive past some of the trees. Maybe we get some more flies or another praying mantis. Maybe, hopefully it doesn't jump into my face this time. It's very quiet out here. Oh yeah, that's just around the corner. Now, as most of you know, it is Draw a Bird Day on the 8th of April, which is on Sunday. So, Paula, I don't know. I haven't quite decided just yet. Maybe I'll start drawing something up tonight. Maybe I'll do a few. Should we start that? Should I do one bird a day until Sunday? And then you can all decide for me which one I should put through. They won't let me win, though. I don't think there's a competition, but if there was one, they wouldn't let me win. In my mind, there's all the competition. Here we go. About the word gees. Teach all of you about the great South African lingo, which is, you know, interesting if you don't sort of get the background idea what we're saying. So, double ES is how you spell it. And so you don't say geese, gees. And yes, that means spirit, positivity. Sorry, everybody, the gremlins are getting me every now and then. They're quite rude today. Also, once the vegetation starts to thin out, the gremlins get less and less because there's nowhere for them to hide. It's quite nice. Winter's not so bad. Let's see. Okay, VM, I've seen a black mamba so many times along this road. No squirrel. Come back. There's a squirrel, though. Are you going to be one to be seen? It's hiding away. That has never worked. Okay. There's a black mamba that lives here. Ah, man. It ran away. No, hang on, BM. There it is. Look up to on top. It's not inside, it's on top, but it has now disappeared down on, or basically went onto the quarry, onto another tree, onto the floor behind us. Off you go to Steve, who's walking around on his feet. I wonder where they'll take him to next.
It is always amazing to walk around on your feet. Thanks for that, Taylor. I've got a grass, ladies and gentlemen, and yesterday we spoke about lots of ecological descriptions of distribution of grasses, and this one has got a very interesting means. It is regarded as a semi-climax or a sub-climax grass, which means it's not a pioneer. It comes in a little bit afterwards, but it's got an amazing ability with water. Now I'm going to grab one of these off, that one that's not very straight. Can you see that? They're still quite new, quite fresh, and can you see the end there? It's very, very sharp. That is the seed over there, and the entire rest of this bit is known as an awn, and the purpose of the awn is 100% to do something to distribute the seed. Now, if you ever do this with guests or with friends or family, be careful when you show them this. Hold the seed with your fingers, and I'm going to take it up to my mouth, Ferg, and you get a nice little bit of saliva. You see how unstraight it is? And once I do this, I'm then going to put it in the palm of my hand to show you, hopefully, it's going to work. The grass is known as spear grass. Let's hope it doesn't blow away. And it is not doing anything, is it? Let me give it one more lick. What an anticlimax. But essentially what starts happening, ladies and gentlemen, it's a bit early in the season, but the cells inside this awn actually become very dry during the season, and then as you get moisture later on, these will fall down into the ground, and it's actually starting to move very slowly. But what it does is it corkscrews this sharp piece into the ground. So in a couple of weeks, it's going to be a much quicker and more obvious technique than now. But you can actually see it is slowly corkscrewing, and that is in response to water saturating those cells. There we go. It's not me at all cheating. There we go, it's twisting. In a couple more weeks, oh, that was the wind. I apologize. But in a couple more weeks, it's going to be much more obvious, and the whole purpose of it is to bury that seed in the ground. How marvelous is that? That's the whole purpose of that. So you could basically call it hydrocory, except the water is not the one distributing the seed. That is magic. It is a magic trick, but you must be careful when you show people not to hold it in your hand like this, because they're going to think you're twisting it. Sometimes you can stick it into your shirt, put it on your hand. There we go. Let's carry on, Ferg. We did find some relatively fresh male leopard tracks that came through. And we with Herbs, we're trying to get an idea. Mistletoe. Major dragon was not a simple leaf. The marula leaf is in fact a compound leaf, and I've got exactly the same style of leaf right here. This is, if any of you can remember, the bloodwood. Oh, that's not a great example. The bloodwood. And there is, it should have another leaf there. Okay, it doesn't have. Exactly the same, compound with a terminal leaflet. The marula is exactly the same. So when you look at leaves and compound leaves, the next step in the process is to see, does it have a terminal leaf, or does it end in a pair? Does it end in one or in a pair? And that'll basically be to the tree saga, and we'll continue on. I might find you one or two of those on the walk and see if we can show you the difference between the two. But one ends in 2 and one ends in 1, and that's very important when identifying compound leaves. Sorry folks, there seem to be some gremlins with us again on the bushwalk team. I'm not sure if it's me or if it's Ferg. Not you, Ferg. Must be me. It's just the energy between us is so magnetic, it's affecting the signal, you know. Well, let's carry on. Herbie, where we got these tracks, my friend? Just up ahead. How he's able to follow tracks through this kind of vegetation is always something that lovely being.
I'm not sure if this is a prank or not now. Just asking Rebecca if she was messing with us and testing our skills, but I don't think so. Apologies, everybody, for the gremlins today. It's going to be one of those afternoons. So put your feet up, maybe make some popcorn, and, well, enjoy the show. I don't know what's wrong with me. If I've got magnets on me that I'm repelling all the animals today, because there's not even an Egyptian goose at Wilbur's favorite pan. Look at this. Nothing. Not even a terrapin. That's upsetting. Woe is me, woe is me. This pan is normally filled with all sorts of things. Sometimes there's a hammerkop here, or a flock of guinea fowl. There's normally about 5 or 6 Egyptian geese, and if we're really lucky, a warthog. And we have got nothing. Not even a water spider to show you. Oh well. We'll keep trying though, we'll keep trying. Hopefully we're going to find something at some point. Oh, there's a dove that flew away though. What a surprise. Bye, dove. Okay, we are in Chitwa now. We're going to have a little look around. I'm now not sure. Rebecca, are we actually live, or have you just pranked me properly and now just teasing me? Okay. Rebecca says I am for real legit live. Quote unquote. Okay, cool. I'm just checking. Because I thought, you know, like I said, you got to be careful now because I pranked Brent and he could try and lure people in to get them to trick me. Remember that one time? It was Rebecca directing and you were on camera with me and I was out of the car and we were doing something and I was doing, and then you kept saying that we were going to crash cut to me. Remember that? May have been with, I don't know, may have been some rhinos or thingy like they were going to put them live or something. I don't know. Of course, we don't show rhinos here in the Sabi Sand. Rebecca knows exactly what I'm talking about, and I panicked. I flat out panicked because I was new and I didn't know what to do, and I was like, but we can't. And they were like, we're coming to you anyways, and it was it was quite funny. But yeah, so we don't show rhinos in the Sabi Sand. Unfortunately, most of the poaching is actually done within the greater Kruger National Park. So we try to keep them hidden, but it's no secret that they don't occur here. White and black rhino. Public information, you're welcome to go and have a look. We don't actually see them too often though. Now, especially in winter with the vegetation being quite thick. I do miss seeing the white rhinos. They're such cool creatures. Weird looking things. They're so big. Oh my goodness, we're really not winning today, which I bet is going to be putting on us, making everybody smile in final control. We seem to have gremlins jumping aboard, so let's go to Tristan to go and see what was up in front of the road.
Well, don't worry, Taylor. Welcome to the club for the frustrating day that has been this Thursday, the 5th of April, because you're now joining Brent, myself, and Steve in what's deemed to be a very quiet day so far. But we are hot on the trail of Tandi at the moment. We found where she crossed Hippo Pools Road, and she's still going sort of northwest now, which is better than northeast because we're right up against this Tortwish boundary. So I'm now just double checking the boundary quickly just to make sure she hasn't crossed out before I loop back around, because Rex is busy checking for the tracks on foot. He's on the actual tracks itself and he's got a tracker with him, so it's much easier for him to be able to do it than it is for me, because I can only do short little walks in. So we left him to do that, and I said I'll do the loop around and try and kind of figure out that we can sort of make sure that she's not out of our area before we really devote a lot of time intensively into a small section. So at the moment, all looks good. Nothing crossing cheetah cut line. I just want to double check here, because she does sometimes cross in this area into Buffelshoek. It's very seldom, but every now and then she does do it. So no, nothing there, which is good. And it's interesting how her movement is now very similar to one of the times when we tracked her for our TV special. It's exactly the same movement that she's doing. So hopefully we'll have the same sort of success, because that day, well, that time we found her on a kill just off the boundary, and then we had a nice sighting of her with the little one in a little drainage line off Buffelshoek Dam. So I'm hoping that's where she's headed as well, and hopefully she's just lying there and taking it very easy. Obviously it's not an easy place to look for a leopard. There's a lot of thickets and variables that can potentially happen, but let's hope that we're going to find her. At least it's good kind of sign, and it's re-inspired us to try and kind of find her as quick as possible. So I'm hoping that we'll get this right, and hopefully we'll be able to show you what she looks like, and hopefully she's fine. So lots of hopes in the air, but and they. So I'm not sure what you're saying, Bex. You broke up completely. You just said Daniela, and that's all I got. So Daniela, yes, domestic cats will have the organ of Jacobson. They often do phlegm and grimace. It's pretty common to see them kind of smell something and then lift their cheeks and sniff around and have a little bit of a kind of smell and analyze exactly what's going on. So yes, they do. They're much like the bigger cats. You'll see wild cats have it as well. Now, so Rexon's just calling me, which is hopefully going to be good news. Go ahead, Rex. Alright, cool, thanks. Just confirm Hippo Pools Road. Alright, copy, I'll be there now. Thank you. So, it sounds like we're in luck. Let's see. Apparently, Rexon says to me, this is the words that I get from Rexon, which always makes me laugh, because Rex and I have known each other for a very, very long time. In fact, when I was head ranger at Chitwa, I employed Rexon at Chitwa, and so we go back a while, and we've had some good times together. So he says, when I saw him now with the tracks, he says, yeah, I know, these are the good tracks. I said, I know they're good tracks. I drove here this morning. So he said, oh, it's okay, we'll find this animal. And now he radios me and says to me, no, do you want to see something good? So I said, no, of course I want to see something good, you know, and he's just said, no, you must come to Buffelshoek Dam, I'll show you something good. So fingers crossed that something epic is at Chitwa Dam in the form of, hopefully, Tandi and Tlalamba. That's what I'm hoping for, but let's see. We've got a little bit of a way to go. And like I said, it was better for Rex to follow the tracks and for me just to try and kind of do the loops around. So it's always important to have teamwork, and it's why we're so lucky to work with guys like Rexon and Herbie and, you know, all the Juma guides that we have and trackers here. They really are a big help to what we do. And, you know, if we have a good working relationship with them, then, you know, we tend to be able to be a little bit more successful in the way that we find animals. And so it seems to have worked this afternoon. Well, hopefully it's worked this afternoon. Let's see. Maybe, fingers crossed, like I say, that it's going to be a good sighting of whatever it is that Rexon's calling me for. Crossing toes. I am crossing toes, but I'm trying to drive as well. So crossing toes while driving is very difficult. Rebecca, can you cross your toes? I don't even think I can cross my toes. I've got stubby little toes, so very difficult for me to cross anything. I'm trying. Are you crossing them? Well done, Rebecca. You cross your toes. Your big toe and the one next to your big toe. Yes, I know I'm trying, Rebecca, but with shoes and socks and driving, it seems to be a little bit more harder than I first thought. I can't really seem to get it right. No, it's not working, Rebecca. Like I say, I've also got stubby toes, so there's no chance. Rebecca and I were having a good giggle the other day about our stubby fingers that we've got. Hey, Rebecca, our fingers are not designed to text message or to do anything like that. We've got fingers that are for, I don't know, little sausages, exactly. So Ali often tells me that I've got tequeño toes. Now, tequeños are a type of food from Venezuela, which is like a pastry that's stuffed with cheese, and they're just basically straight, round, and stubby. And so she calls my toes tequeños, which is not very nice at all. So then I just tell her that she's got tentacle fingers because she's got the longest fingers in the world. Now, I'm trying to just get to where to Rex is. So he says he's somewhere around the dam wall area. I don't know where he is. Right, I'm going to send you across to Steve quickly while I try and find Rex and try and find exactly where this leopard's gone.
Thanks very much, Tristan. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I might collect a few leaf samples on the way, and all of these are compound leaves with a difference. Okay, so let's start off with this one. You can see how this one ends in a pair. This is the tree wisteria, ends in a pair, so we call that peripinnate. Peri for pair. Remember, this entire thing is the leaf. This marvelous young gentleman over here is actually from a very nice plant called the sneeze wood. And yes, the wood, when you deal with it, will make you sneeze. Very, very hard wood. And you see, once again, it ends in a pair. So again, it's peripinnate. And over here, we have got 3 leaf samples. These two are the same. They are both false marula. Look at the difference in color. Why it's different, to pay attention to the tree. Sometimes you'll find different colored leaves on the same tree. So pay attention to that. See how they end in one imperipinnate. And then on the left here, we've got the little marula. And they have got the little petiolule over there, and that sort of antacid sort of coloration to them versus the false marula. You shouldn't get confused with any other plant. So these 3 in peripinnate, and then just for a final example at the end, we've got the bloodwood and the zebrawood, and they have got a terminal leaflet, but they're arranged in a ladder formation. Ladder formation, can you see that? Whereas if you go to these guys, they're all oppositely arranged on the leaf. See all of them oppositely arranged? So those are all compound leaves divided once. And then over here we have got 2 leaves. One is of the knobthorn, which is divided twice. Can you see that? That is divided once, divided twice. And then this is of the sicklebush, again divided once, divided twice. So this would be bipinnately compound, so twice divided, with the knobthorn being the largest twice divided leaf we find in the savanna biome. And these over here are all only once divided, so we can term them peripinnately compound or imperipinnately compound or bipinnately compound. Okay, let's quickly go over to Tristan Dix.
So we've managed to try and catch up with her. She's kind of just disappeared, basically, as we were trying to sort of get a view of her. She is right over here. Hello, Tandi. So you don't look as though you've been in a fight at all. So maybe it was Shadow. Interesting. It doesn't look like she's got any markings on her. Now, I know you can't see much of her at the moment. She's in this thicket. Tandi, are you going to be like this today? Please don't be like this. Please stay out in the open for us. So she's right in there, sort of hiding away and trying to keep herself as hidden as possible. Craig, can you see her? Straight there. So that's where she is. She's sitting behind that bush, but I don't see a single cut, scratch mark on her. So maybe, just maybe, Shadow was actually the one that was seen with Shadulu, and was the one that was fighting with Shadulu, because Tandi looks absolutely fine. Doesn't look like there's anything wrong with her at all. But how exciting is this? So we've managed to at least find her. I know it's not a good view at the moment, but eventually we'll hopefully get it right. I think she's a bit nervous because we were tracking her on foot, and Rex said they found her on foot first before she kind of decided to move into this area. And if she lies down in there, we're going to have a big problem. Don't lie there, please, Tandi. Now she looks as though she's going to go up to the top. Let's try and go back where we went. The problem is I'm worried that we're going to lose her in here. It is so thick and so dense. I tried to follow the Avoca boys the other day in here, and it really is almost impossible. And that's why I thought we'd just try to get a brief view quickly, because the chance of us keeping view of her all the way through to Hyena Road is probably very, very, very slim. She's unfortunately going to go through a lot of thickets. At least it's during the day and not at night. So that should help us a little bit. But it is not going to be easy at all to keep up with her in this. Let's just see. Now, she was walking in this direction. I've lost her completely already. So hopefully she'll pop out somewhere close by here. While we try and find her again, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's finally found herself her first animal.
Tandi is a sneaky snake slithering through the grass, isn't she? Hope you catch up with her, Tristan. Yes, this is is this the third animal we've had today, VM? We started off with the Battalier eagle, and then we briefly saw a squirrel's tail, and now we're on an impala. Awesome. Very, very cool. But he's here on his own. All the breeding herds are nowhere to be seen at the moment, which I'm quite surprised by, because they're often at the edge of the airstrip. But there's no one to be seen except this fella, who is looking in fabulous condition. Look how fat he is, nice shiny coat. He is ready for the ratting season. And it would be nice if he did a little snortle for us. For those of you that don't know what snortling is, it's the sound that an impala makes when it rats, that sort of gurgling, snorting noise. But one day, instead of saying gurgling and snorting, I said snortling. So that is the new word. And you can see fairly stressed in the sense that he can't focus in one direction. He was looking at us, and I turned and is looking completely the opposite way. He's listening to some birds. Sounds like there's some babblers down there chatting about. And probably listening to the latest news. I'm trying to decipher what those babblers are saying, but I don't speak babbler, unfortunately. They're probably just complaining about somebody not filling up the kettle, or perhaps not cleaning up their mess if something's spilt on the floor. You know, these types of things. Very quiet, very peaceful. Okay, well, we'll carry on. Bye, Impala. Be safe. Apparently Tingana walked... See, Tandi.
Well, now, Tandi has found herself a little gap, at least, where we can see her. But like I say, the chances of us keeping up with her in this is going to be so difficult. She's at least slowly moving today. She's not kind of in a hurry, which is good news. But there you can see her kind of just striding through these thickets, and it really does get insanely dense inside here. It's no wonder we struggle to find her sometimes, because if you had no idea she was here, I mean, even with tracks, you would battle to pinpoint her exact location. You can see it's just a wall of bushes that are in the way. Now, we're going to try and keep up with her and try and sort of stay with her as she goes. Now, Lilia, no, all leopards do not have the same spots. You'll have a situation where every leopard has got different spots altogether. So, you know, they are, that's how we identify them, is through their different spots. It's like us, we all have different colour skin, different eyes. Ooh, no, that's not going to work. Sorry, Craig. That's not ideal. So this is the problem with this place, is that you can't see anything because of the long grass and the big stumps that are in the way. So we're going to try and kind of keep up with her, but I don't know. This should be a very interesting little half an hour. If she goes through this, then it starts to get much easier for us. It'll start sort of opening out as it gets towards Hyena Road, but it's that initial sort of phase to get towards Hyena Road that is very difficult. Now, I've lost her already. I can't see any sign of her. Craig, you see her? So, no idea where she's gone already. Alright, let's try and see what we can do here. Now I'm going to try and just punch through here and try and get back to where Tandi is. So while I do that, let's send you back across to Steve, who I believe is in some mud.
Talking about muddy areas, how amazing is that? Tristan's managed to find Tandi. He's definitely the expert when it comes to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are enjoying, at least understanding the tree conversation there. And so on that note, I would love to know if anybody can tell me what leaf structure this one is. Very interesting. I have not discussed this on the show before, but this plant is in fact known as a false thorn. It is not an acacia, even though it looks like an acacia. There's no thorns in there at all. Nothing to hurt oneself, but hence the name false thorn. And most of these, the genus name is called Albizia, and they're commonly known as well as worm bark. So a lot of the bark and pods even off of these trees are quite toxic to domestic cattle, but are very, very good for indigenous animals with regards to deworming themselves. Some of them it's the pods, some of them it's the bark. It really depends on the species. So absolutely marvelous. I wonder if any of you can quickly hashtag Safari Live, let me know what leaf structure this one is. Remember that is the whole leaf. Okay, we're just navigating some muddy wallows ourselves here. They've dried out since the rains, but what we've seen before in the past is just small, like a small little wallow like this. An animal will come along, a warthog, and pick up the mud and move it away and move it away. And if Ferg does a little sort of 360 here, you'll notice that at some point, all of these wallows are going to probably join and form one big pan. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Natural process. It is a form of erosion. If you understand what the word erosion means the movement of soil from one place to another. There, I just eroded away that mud. So as the animals pick it up, cover themselves and walk away, this will get deeper and deeper and deeper. A miniature leaf? No, Angela. I'm looking for what type of structure. The structure. Is it a compound? Is it a simple leaf? Is it twice compound or once compound? Remember, this is the entire leaf. And then that leaf again seems to be divided a second time. I wonder if anyone was listening. Okay, very good. Let's move on. From the ecology of the mud wallows, we continue back on in search of this elusive cat. Herbie seems to think it might be Tumba by the size of the track and the area. It's a male leopard track. That's as far as I know. But we're very fortunate that Tristan has managed to find that beautiful Tandi. Hopefully she will direct us, take us to her little cub, which would be very nice to see. It has been, how long has it been for me? It's been 2 months since I've seen her. That's a very, very long time. Coast Riders, I don't know what you said there, Bex. Double twin, yeah, it's double divided. Indeed, it is double divided. It is called a bipinnately compound leaf. Twice compound, exactly, twice compound. So bipinnately compound. Oh, sorry, spider web. I apologize. I just walked through the nest or the web of a golden orb spider. I don't see the resident female, but you can see that beautiful golden coloration, that golden color. And this is synonymous with their webs, is this junk line over here, where their prey are left in a line, which is also quite obvious to see. Apparently I didn't see it, but it seems as if she has mated and she has probably climbed into the tree itself, laid her eggs, and then she will have died. And then next rainy season, those eggs will hatch and out will come thousands of little baby golden orbs. The web is very, very strong, very sticky. Very strong, very sticky. Have a look at that. Very sticky to my fingers. And hence the name golden, from that golden coloration. And that is her drag line, that is her dinner or junk pile for the last little while. Or for the last season. I wonder how many of you can say that this is the amount of rubbish that you've used in the last 6 months. Probably not many, eh? Okay, well, let's attach you back to the tree. Okay, well, while we continue through the long grass, let's go over to Tandi, who's doing something quite similar.
She is indeed, and I think this is going to be our last view of her in the next 2 seconds, because if she drops down any further than where she is now, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to follow her. It goes through a little drainage that is near impossible for a car to get in, and so we're probably going to have to just watch her ambling through that thicket. She's not in any rush by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just, I don't see us being able to negotiate this area. We'll try, though, and see what we can get up to and what we can sort of sort out. But this is the kind of stuff that she likes to walk in, and this is why she can be a tough leopard to find. Often people kind of ask who's the toughest leopard to track, and, well, this is what we face when we try and face Tandi. She's a lot harder than our boys in a lot of respects. Our boys are generally a little bit more kind of straightforward and direct in the way that they walk, whereas Tandi is, as you can see, going straight through the thicket. But I am still yet to see a cut on her or a scrape or any evidence of her fighting at all. So she obviously wasn't the one involved, which is very, very interesting. And so maybe Rex was right in that it was a situation where its shadow was around, which is interesting news. But there's definitely no, like I say, no evidence of Tandi fighting at all. You can see that her back of her head is clean, and when leopards fight, they'll get cuts on their faces, around their eyes, their ears, their noses, those kind of places. That's where all of the scrapes and cuts come, and even around the back of the neck area, and there's nothing on this particular individual at all. So I don't think she was involved in this particular fight, which is quite interesting. So Sky Doogie, no milk or suckle marks that I can see, which is not really an indication if the cub is alive or not, because she's at that age now where she's starting to be weaned, so the amount of milk that Tandi's producing is far less. And the thing is, though, is that Tandi keeps coming to the same area and back again, and so maybe this cub is still alive. I don't know. I mean, like I say, I more than anything want to be proven wrong, that her behavior is kind of just an abnormality in terms of a leopard just doing something different, and that the cub is still alive. I would love for that to be the case, but it's difficult to say. I mean, I haven't seen a single track for the cub this morning in the tracks that I found for her. Obviously, she was in a patrol this morning. She wasn't actually with the cub when she was walking from Djuma all the way to where she is now. But this afternoon and where she was during the day, there doesn't seem to be any tracks of the cub. But unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the last of it for us. I don't think we're going to be able to follow any further than that for now. We'll try and just see. Maybe we can get a situation where we can get through here at some point, but I don't know if it's going to be possible. I want to just try. Obviously, you've got to be a bit careful about some of the tree species that we have here. She's crossed this drainage already, which is exactly what I was hoping she wasn't going to do. I was hoping she was going to sit tight for a bit. Let's see if we can slide ourselves through here. We're good there, Craig? Alright, now I'm sure we're going to lose signal going through this, so while I try and negotiate this, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's still on Chitwa.
Good luck, Tristan. Keep up with that old girl. Now, we picked up on Tingana's tracks, which was quite cool. After this morning's game drive, they're on top of all the vehicle tracks, sort of going just a little bit north from the Bushbrass site, going south. So I'm checking the boundary again. We have just come from here. We are going back towards that lone impala. Tingana could quite well still be on the property, but that cat lays so flat and he doesn't care about cars driving around him, especially when he's fast asleep. He doesn't even look up or twitch an ear or twitch his tail or anything like that. So we could have driven past him about 500 times. It wouldn't surprise me if we had. So we're just going to double check to make sure there's no footprints crossing out, because if there aren't, then that's a good sign that we will come and check in this area a little bit later and hopefully find him. So I'm just going to go a little bit further along the boundary, otherwise we're going to go to the dam. Hello, Impala. It's nice to see you again. Be careful, there could be a leopard here. Okay, off we go. Just checking, maybe we're going to get a leopard walk out on the airstrip again for us. That would be nice. Might be asking a bit much. Maybe he walked the same route as he did the other morning. We'll just check here. We'll go down the next road that goes to the left and drive all the way down it, and then we'll start heading towards the dam if we don't see anything else. Don't think anyone has driven here yet. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like there's any super fresh tracks, just the ones from this morning. I don't know what's also going on with the sky. It's very cloudy. Rebecca, is this a question from you? Okay. So, a question from FC, also from Rebecca, who's directing the show today, is can you identify people by their vehicle tracks? I suppose yes. If you knew what car they were driving, what brand of tires they were using, it's quite easy to. Like, we can tell the difference between our sort of the company vehicle versus the bush vehicles that we drive. The tires are completely different. Ooh, mating butterflies. There they go. It looks a bit heavy. One's doing all the work, the other's not doing anything. Are they monarchs? Oh, well, they don't look like monarchs. Anyways, that was quite nice. That was exciting, hey? Quick glimpse. So yes, you can indeed. And that's why you've got to be careful, because if you do something you're not supposed to do, the company can check the tire tracks that drove sort of in. I know that's how they used to catch a lot of guides out on safari when I was guiding us. One place I worked at, they were changing over the fleet from Land Rovers to Land Cruisers. So some of the cars were still Land Rovers. So then everybody... Whew, that turtle dove gave me a fright. Almost had a heart attack live. Phew, turtle dove, that was not necessary. It just flew out from the grass next to the road. Why did you do that? It's gone now. Whew, I'm awake though. That's for sure. Definitely awake now. Whew, take a deep breath. I don't know why things like to scare me all the time. Okay, see, that would be perfect for a leopard to be sitting up there, hey VM? Very nice. But sadly, no leopard up there. Well, Tristan's winning the safari this afternoon, so let's go back to him and see if he's caught up to Tandi.
Well, I don't know about winning the safari. I feel like I've won maybe the safari in terms of finding an animal, but lost in terms of where I'm having to drive, because it is really not very pleasant in here at all, and I'm struggling to get through. We managed to cross that drainage by some miracle. I don't know how we actually got through there. And Tandi is off to my right-hand side at the moment, but she just disappeared behind a sort of thicket, so I'm just trying to get round back to where she is. We managed to kind of keep visual of her as we were getting through, which was good. Craig was key in spotting where she went, so hopefully we'll pick her up. There she is, actually. She's coming out towards the open, and now it should be fairly easy in comparison to what we've been through in the course of the kind of afternoon so far. So it should be a lot easier now to keep up with her and to be able to follow her as she goes, because this starts to get quite open. We're on Hyena Road, and so earlier I was saying sometimes you get a surprise on Hyena Road. Well, here we go. So Tandi is making her way straight to Hyena Road at the moment, which is very cool. I'm just trying to get through to the road, because hopefully we'll get her on the road itself. Whew, sanctity. There we go. Done. Through hell and back, that's for sure. So she's just off to my right-hand side at the moment. She'll come onto the road eventually. She's just kind of slowly but surely coming this direction. I think she's maybe spotted something. Is there another leopard here or something? I don't know. Oh no, it's just it was kind of a fallen over branch that looked like the white tummy of a leopard. So I was wondering if maybe there was another one in this area. Now, Craig, can you see her? She's just there at the back, kind of twitching at the moment and having a little look around. Hello, girl. You've been very busy this afternoon. Well, in fact, the last couple of days she's been very busy. The most I've seen her walking around in the last few days, in a long time. Obviously, she's been spending time on Torchwood and probably has been roaming around there a lot. But in terms of Vuyatela, this is the most that I've seen her walking around on Vuyatela itself. Now, she's just going parallel with the road. Of course she is. It'd be far too easy for her to walk on the road. Deb, you're saying thank you for being patient and persistent with her. It's always good to see her. I agree. No, Tandi, what are you doing? Don't go back in there now. So now it looks like she's heading back into this area, which is... I don't know what she's up to. She seems as though she's very, very busy this afternoon and on her own little kind of walkabouts. I don't know what she's busy doing, but she's looking around all the time. And are you going to lie down? Finally. Okay. All right, so let's try and get somewhere there and see if we can try and relocate her. Alright, let's try and see if I can get to where she's lying down. While I try to do that, let's send you to Steve and Herbie, who are, I think, messing around with some insects.
Yes, thanks very much, Tristan. Marvellous that you're getting visuals of Tandi. Just as well you decided to drive the non-drivable road, Hyena Road. And look at what we found. We have found a lacewing, which is the adult form of an antlion. Absolutely marvellous creature. There are so many different species of these. Some of them lay their eggs in the soil, some on bark, some on the trees, which is probably the same as on bark. There are many, many species. I wouldn't hazard to guess which one this is. But some of them can live for up to 7 years in the soil as a larval form. Just feeding and feeding and feeding on, obviously, as the name implies, ants or other small insects that might fall into the conical tube that they have on the ground. And then they will ingest the entire animal or insect. And what I find quite amazing is that the baby or the larval stage of the antlion does not defecate until it becomes an adult. I find that quite an interesting fact. And obviously I am sure once it metamorphosizes and comes out as the lacewing, it flies into the sky, probably has its first proper toilet in its entire life, finds a female to mate or a male to mate, then they lay eggs, and then only within a few days they perish. So they're often attracted into the buildings at night, and they look like a dragonfly that is very drunk. They fly all over the place, attracted by the lights. Look at those monstrous eyes. How beautiful is that? Very pretty. I think it's enjoying the afternoon sun. Ravinda does look like hair on its body. You guys have got a much closer look than I do with the camera. There's a bit of fuzz to keep it warm. I think they are regarded as being more nocturnal than diurnal. So just to keep it warm, I suppose. But completely different from its larval stage. And what's interesting is that you would call these guys the hemimetabolic bee. So what that means, hemimetabolic, is that it doesn't pupate. It goes through larval stages and then becomes an adult without a pupa. But what it means exactly when I say hemimetabolic bee is it goes through an incomplete life cycle, and the larvae lives in a completely different space and time to the adult. As you can imagine, the larvae lives in the soil or in bark where it does most of its feeding, and it comes out above the ground to do its mating and laying of eggs. So very similar to dragonflies that live in water and then will come out, and the adults will fly around living in a very different space and time, and thus eliminating the competition between the youngsters and the adults. Marvellous. Thanks, Ferg. Hope you're getting your screenshots. Any entomologists out there would like to identify this beautiful lacewing for me, I would really appreciate that. Race. Sitting bull looks like a leopard grasshopper, you say? Oh, it's amazingly camouflaged. How Herbie spotted it as he wandered past is beyond me, but let's leave it to its hanging on and continue on our tracking and walking into the setting sun. Thanks for that, Ferg. I think we got some nice shots there. Definitely seems to be a storm brewing on the horizon, sort of to the south and to the north, but nothing above us. It would be so marvellous if we had a downpour this afternoon. Obviously, we'd get wet, but it'd be nice if we could fill up those mud wallows again, completely fill up the dams. You've seen our dams aren't looking very full. It'd be great if we were able to do that. Bethany, I'd love to show you the little five. That being the larvae. I'll see if I can find you a conical trap. But that is the larvae of the antlion. So the antlion is number one. A rhino beetle, which looks like a dung beetle, has got a horn on his nose. I'd love to show you one of them as well. The buffalo weaver, watch out, Ferg, is backing into the bush. The buffalo weaver, which is a bird, I'm sure one of the other guys might be able to see one. They form very nice messy nests on the top of trees. They're a black bird with a red beak and white wing on the bar, white barring on the wing, sorry. And then you get the elephant shrew or sengi, which I haven't seen here. And then what am I? Oh, the leopard tortoise. Bethany, have you seen a leopard tortoise? We were seeing many of them a few weeks ago. And obviously when the rain comes, we might see some more. But without rain, the leopard tortoises just disappear and hide away from us. So that is a little 5. I would love to show them all to you, but it's difficult to accomplish on a walk. It might be possible one day, but we'll see how we go. It's lovely to just be out in the wilderness. There's a very different feeling to being on the back of a vehicle or driving a vehicle. The smells, the sounds, so much more quiet. The birds are very quiet this afternoon, actually. Sorry, Bex, I didn't get the full question. Okay, well, we're going to go quickly back to Tristan and that leopardess.
Well, finally we've got Tandi she sat down and then she decided to walk again, but at least she's out in a bit more open area and we can actually get to see her quite nicely, which is nice. She's interested in something. She's kind of staring south. Now, often in this area we have a lot of nyala that you see, and oh, bless you, Craig. Are you all right there? Yes, there's lots of pollen in the air, Craig. One must be careful of that. Don't get hay fever. But anyway, she seems to be watching something and kind of moving around. And I was saying there's lots of nyala, lots of duiker, steenbok in this particular area, and it's a good place for her to hunt. The grass is incredibly long, and so if she can get into that grass and she can watch what's going on, then she can stalk through. And you can see, look, as she goes down the sort of stump, you see how the grass is pretty much the same height as her, so she'll just disappear very, very quickly as she walks along. But it's interesting, she kind of ambles along a little bit, then she stops and listens, walks along a little bit, stops and listens. So I don't know what she's up to, but she's definitely a busy cat today. And interestingly enough, she's now heading back in exactly the same way that we have tracked her during the course of the day. She's going back towards sort of Gari Cutline Central and towards Djuma Dam or Gari Dam from where we are. But she's seen something. Look how she's watching. See how that neck's gone bolt upright now, and she's just checking things out. Her tail is twitching a little bit. So she's in a situation where she's spotted something. Look at that. It's the telltale sign that a leopard has seen something and is interested in what's going on. When their tail twitches a little bit and their neck goes upright like that, it's like they've spotted what they're looking for and they're interested in whatever they see. But maybe she's decided it's not what she wants to hunt. You never know. Sometimes you get situations where it's bigger animals. It could be something like a buffalo, it could be something like elephants, and then they kind of see them and they see the movement, but then they just sort of stop and watch it go by and they actually don't chase anything, unless it's Hosana, who can't help himself and he'll just try and go after it. Now, are you going to come back to where I am, Tandi? What's going on here, girl? You can't make up your mind as to where you want to go. Just going underneath the branch. I was hoping she was going to go lie on top of that branch and just sit there ever so nicely for us, but it seems as though that's not going to happen. It seems as though she's still going to carry on going away from us. I'm hoping she finds a spot just to lie down and that we can try and kind of spend a bit of time with her and just get to check her sort of face and her body as much as possible, just to make sure it definitely wasn't her. But so far, no sign of or indication of her fighting with anybody at this stage. Right, onward we go. Through the thickets. Now this particular section has got some dense areas, and hopefully if she decides to go further west, she's going to go on the game path that goes further west, because that one I know quite well, and that one we'll be able to cross fairly easily. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. It's where the Nkuhumas often walk around, and in fact we're very close to where the Nkuhumas once had a buffalo kill with the Birmingham boys. And Eleanor, if you're watching, you will know that spot very, very well, because Eleanor spends a lot of time watching Safari Live, had a little incident with the Nkuhumas, and I can sympathize with you, Eleanor, because I've also fallen out of a vehicle before, and so I don't know if I've ever told this story, but she unfortunately slipped off the vehicle next to the Nkuhumas, luckily on the opposite side of the Pride, and was fine. Nothing happened. The Pride was so busy with their buffalo kill, they didn't actually even pay any attention. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's see how we kind of keep up with it. Hopefully there'll be no falling out of vehicles today. Craig almost fell just now. Craig had a situation where we hit that massive stump, and we had a kind of situation where he went forward, but luckily didn't fall or anything like that, and didn't have any issues. So we're going to keep kind of trying to follow her and hopefully not disappear off the side of the car again. Super, yes, I suppose dropping into not so much sinkholes, but aardvark burrows and sort of warthog holes. Those are what I worry about more than anything else. But the nice thing is you do that, you kind of just lurch forward and then you're driving. Because that is...
Oh my goodness, it's that sneaky hyena road that does that to you. Plenty gremlins there. Sorry about that, everybody. A lot of technical difficulties today. We're behind the damn wall now, trying to find Tingana, because we did actually have a very fresh leopard track, but it's been preserved quite nicely in between, like an eroded area that no tire would ever be able to fit. It's so cool, but there's no other leopard tracks around. So I think it's a couple of days old, maybe from yesterday. But we just thought we'd come and have a little look around here and see what we can find. So we'll go down to the sort of wetland area. We keep checking nicely under all the trees for a sleepy leopard. No, nothing just yet. Might even find some small crocodiles because they like it back here. Yes, I see movement in the water. What could it be, Liam? What could it be? The mudmen? Are the mudmen going to come out of here? Sewer rats? Could be lots of different things. Of course, I'm just joking. Is Rebecca talking? Because I can hear voices. I'm not hearing those voices, though. It wasn't. It's the birds. Okay, I'm just checking because I know I lose comms down here all the time. Yes, Rebecca, I can hear you now. That sounds like one of the Scream movie. Oh, what was that? See, something is moving in there. It's terrapins. They are terrapins. VM, let me see if you can see this one. Where's my hand? My hand is not long enough. But basically, you see there's like this mini pool. Oh, it just went. There. This is where I'm talking. Every now and then, a little terrapin puts its head up. Now, this is a spot that both Tingana and Hosana like to move around. So, Karma, I don't think that... There we go, there's a terrapin. I don't think that both Tingana and Hosana are going to stick together. What's happening is it's Hosana following his dad around. And he often scent marks over the top of his scent marking. I've never seen anything like this before. It's amazing how tolerant Tingana is being. Because Hosana's being really sort of intrusive at the moment. And normally he wouldn't be sort of tolerated. So no little crocodiles living in here. Just a couple of terrapins. And amongst all the algae. And no leopards that I can see. So we can turn around. We'll do that. A little bit of maneuvering. I didn't maneuver enough. I'm going to learn a lesson now. Just go into the trees a bit. They won't mind it so much. Oh. Can I do a 2-point turn, but I'm not going to drive into that marsh because I didn't know how deep it is. So we'll do a 3-point turn. Ta-da! Just like that, magic. Okay, back over we go. Meow. We're going to go to the dam now and see what's there. I saw a big flock of white-faced whistling ducks. That looked quite promising. There's obviously going to be hippos. Maybe an African fish eagle. I did see one, but it could have flown away by now. We're also just looking from a distance. There was some inyala. Nope, where am I going, Liam? The top, I'm just checking up here. I just did this on purpose. Totally took the wrong pathway. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we're just checking up here because I have seen Hosanna up here before. So off you go. Back to Steve, who I believe was answering a question, but then Tandi interrupted him.
Yes, thanks very much. Mina wanted to know what feathers I'm wearing in my hat, but before I get to the feathers, we have found the conical pits of antlion larvae. Have a look at that. That is created by the very small and very space-age looking creature that lives inside. So what happens exactly, and the activity normally is in the morning, is an ant will fall in here, and the larvae is right in the bottom there. It's a very strange looking creature. And as the ant tries to climb up, it spits soil up onto the edge. Let's see if we can instigate him. Here we go. Did you see that? Look at that. There he is. He's busy spitting. He thinks he's caught an ant. Fantastic. He's trying to spit the soil out so that the ant falls down. And when the ant falls down, he will grab him in his jaws and devour him whole. Did you get that, Ferg? Fantastic. Normally I try 3 or 4 before I get one. Well, that was marvelous. Fantastic. So that is an antlion larvae. I'm not going to dig him out because that is just cruel. Okay, well, we're going to forget about my feathers for now. Let's go to Tandi, who is in the tree.
Well, I don't know what Steve said, but anyway, we're sitting with Tandi, and she's sitting on top of a marula tree. So she's been ever so obliging and decided to jump up into a marula tree and give us a bit of a break from driving so much. Isn't that spectacular? That is the quintessential leopard shot. A leopard in a marula tree is as good as it can possibly get. Blue sky behind her. At the moment the sun's not out, so we're not seeing too much of the sort of nice orange glow, but as soon as that sun drops below the clouds, we should get this beautiful color on her, and then that nice blue and kind of cloudy sky as a backdrop should be absolutely wonderful. So really nice to see her, and nice of her to be so obliging and go up into a tree. I thought that we were going to be in for another long afternoon trying to follow her, but she's decided this is where she's going to just take a bit of a break and rest. So wonderful for us, and wonderful for everybody else that wants to try and come into this area. Now, I just need to let somebody know, because I told them that I'd let them know if she does go stationary. So let me just call yours quickly. Yours. So she's having a little look our direction. Yeah, she's just gone into a marula tree, so just come from Hyena Road, find our tracks, and then head west. And she's static in the tree now. So, is that not as good as it gets? And now you can see there is not a single scratch on her at all. She was definitely not involved in that fight by the sounds of things. So it must have been Shadow? Surely. I mean, I don't think Rex would have gotten Shadow or Tandi wrong. It can't have been anybody else, surely not. Well, I suppose there could have been. These days you can't tell. There's so many different leopards moving around, but it definitely wasn't Tandi. Her body and her kind of condition there is not a single scratch anywhere on her face, and that would be impossible. If you look at Shadulu, she had scratches all on her nose, around her muzzle, and even in her sort of mouth area, and so she obviously bit and scratched and hurt the other leopard, and that must have meant a situation where she unfortunately got hold of that other leopard. So I don't know at all. Jenny, you say she's very relaxed. She is about as relaxed as you could possibly imagine. She's as chilled and calm and in zen-like state for Tandi, because Tandi often has a little snarl on her and a little sort of spiciness to her demeanor, and today she's being an absolute lady. She's not doing anything. She's been very chilled. In fact, the last 2 times I've seen her, she hasn't so much as even batted an eyelid at us, which is quite nice. So she's been nice and calm, which is good news, and I wonder what's going on with her and whether or not this little cub is still here. The fact that she's kind of moved back into that area, and tomorrow will be a definite indication. If she goes and we track her tracks straight back to that same section again, then we know that little one is still alive, because she won't go to the same spot unless she has a situation where she's got a cub there. It's not even about food. She's ranging far too far to have a carcass in that area, and you can see she's not exactly massively full. So if she goes back to that same spot tomorrow morning, then we know that the little one is probably still alive in that section, and she's just doing territorial patrols as well as a little bit of hunting throughout the day. But there comes that beautiful golden light that I was talking about. It's slowly but surely starting to come out again, and it should be absolutely spectacular when she looks in our way. Good. Well, hopefully she's going to spend a bit of time up this tree. Hopefully we'll continue to be blessed with these beautiful views of her. While we do that, let's send you across to Taylor, who's got, I believe, 2 crocodiles bobbing about.
We have got 2 crocodiles in the water. We do indeed. I'm pretty sure it's the 2 biggest crocs that live in the dam. Vloris. Don't know what's wrong with me today. What is Vloris? I now created a spoonerism of Vladimir and Boris. So if they were to get married, like, you know, Brangelina, obviously, and all the other celebrities, that's what they would be. I'm sorry that I said that. Vloris. Anyways, look, they're not impressed with me giggling now. I'm sorry. Very, very sorry, crocodiles. You see, at least I find myself entertaining, so I don't mind being on my own. They were just resting here, and we don't know if they're going to start mating again or what the story is, really. They haven't really shown any interest in one another. They've sort of been sitting quite sort of still and doing that, going underneath the water when we can't see what's actually going on. We've tried to also have a look for the little ones, but haven't had any luck just yet. So we'll keep on searching. Oh, a little sandpiper that's come right next to the car. Beautiful. Also a nice golden light. Good bird. Keep walking in that direction. Now, you know what I've never really seen is we don't often see birds catching dragonflies. And along the edge of the water, you would typically, and the reason why I said that is because I actually saw a dragonfly. It was just basking in the sun. And I wonder if something like a sandpiper, a 3-banded plover would be quick enough to be able to get a dragonfly. We typically will see the rollers and things catching them. I've seen them eating them a few times. I think this one is looking for sort of smaller prey, little insects. And we're getting to the time of the evening now where there are going to be an abundance of midges. So that's probably why it's coming towards the edge of the water. Well, it looks like it's actually sifting through some dung. Maybe some termites as well. Pecking through what looks to be old elephant dung. Very old elephant dung. Okay, should we get a bit of view of the hippos? I like all birds, they're really cool, except turtle doves. I expressed to you the other day where I wanted to put them in the least pretty bird list. Andrew, my favorite bird is the secretary bird. I love the secretary birds. And now, yesterday, was it yesterday morning? It was definitely yesterday morning, I think we were here. I'm going to show you why. There's an African darter that there's been much debate about. It's sitting, we're not going to get a great view of it, I'm afraid, because there's a big log in the way, but it'll be okay. And I got a message saying, can we please keep an eye out on the African darter? Because we saw it on the edge of a bank with its wings open after it had gone for a swim, and it looked like it was molting. And some of you are wondering if it was going to go through a complete molt, and then it's not really going to be able to fly. So it's clearly not the case here, because it would have been impossible for that darter to climb up that tree without using its wings. Even if it just used them to balance, I don't think it would have been able to have done that. I think it would have had to have flown up there. So I think it's okay, but we'll keep watching it. And then, of course, a pod of hippos below. Oh, VM, look to the left. Oh, that's very pretty. It's a mom and her little baby. That's tiny, only a few months old. Oh, she's just plopped on down. Look at the wake she created just by dropping a short distance. Hello, little one. Yes. Oh, what's happened to your side? Got a big chunk missing out of it. I don't know. Who tried to bite you? It does look like it's been beaten up a bit. Perhaps it's been bullied by some of the bulls. Yes, smile. That is cute. And switch those ears. Oh, that's so scary. That is so scary. And of course, that's what that means in hippo language normally. When they play about, obviously a youngster's just got a bit of a spring in its step, like this one does, and wants to play. But when an adult hippo does that to you, it's not a very good sign. It looks like it's smiling. Okay, come out now. Go to the edge of the bank. They do this all the time where they will not jump out of the water. Well, they jump back into the water sometimes, doing a big old belly flop. Yes. Let's see if you're going to go to the edge. No, we're going to copy Mom and also plop down now. But you're going to roll. Let's see your little feet. Rolling in a bit of mud, which hippos also do. Hippos will wallow in mud if they have to. And obviously, that's just quite nice on that shallow bank. That is precious. Now the other side. Let's see those little feet. Yes, kick, kick. They look like dinosaur feet. We did see some very sweet little hippo tracks in the sand today as well. We'll have to try show you one morning when they're nice and fresh, a comparison between an adult footprint and, little footprints that would belong to a hippo of the size. Right, it seems as though feathers are on the mind of a lot of the guides today, and I think Steve has another for you.
Thank you very much, Taylor. Your molting data to my feathers in my hat. Mina, you wanted to know what feathers we have. Now, essentially, I'm not going to move because Fergus asked me to stay. I can move now. The brown one, I assume, is from a nightjar. Found it lying in the road. It's very, very camouflaged. Very, very sort of cryptically coloured to hide the bird and its camo in the daytime when it is resting. And the colourful one, I do believe, is from a lilac-breasted roller. And these are probably feathers either from the birds molting or just falling out at a certain time. But all birds will molt, some of them twice a year, some only once a year, all depending on what is going on with them. It's kind of like a car service, as I said this morning. They need to redo all their feathers every now and again so as to maximize the energy efficiency in flight. I hope that answers your question. We are still on our movements. The tracks of that male leopard seem to have gone north. We lost sight of it. We are now looping back down south and then slowly meandering back towards camp. And who knows what we will find along the way. But feathers are always quite a favorite for lots of people. But let's quickly go to Tandi.
Every time. So we were just chatting to one of the guys with us in the sighting. We were talking about her coming down the tree. So she's just dropped down and is kind of just looking around at the moment. So I'm just trying to position myself. I was hoping we would be able to get into a point where we would have that kind of backdrop and we would have been able to see her coming down. But she went down the bottom side. But look how she's sniffing, and that phlegm and grimace is still going. So exactly what we were seeing from her the other day is that she's very intrigued by a lot of smells that are around at the moment. Now, this particular section, I was saying that Gajima's been seen on here, Hukamuri's been seen in this area. No other females, though, as far as I know, so I wonder what she's sniffing out and what's actually going on with Tandi at the moment. It would just be nice to know if she's got the little one still or what's happened there. I think the only way we're going to be able to tell is just by trying to follow her as much as possible in the course of the next few days. We've got an opportunity now that she's around this area and that she's kind of been moving about, and so maybe, just maybe, we're going to be able to sort of get into a point where we're going to be able to kind of follow what's going on and work out what's going down with her little one and what sort of Tandi's behavior actually means. Anyway, it's nice to have her though at this stage. Scent marking again, so let's see where she takes us. I think she's going to take us back to where we started this morning, which is back to basically camp itself. So that's where we're kind of heading. It's going to be a rough ride to get there, but we'll eventually get there and it will be all okay. Nice of her to pose for a bit, wasn't it? She's so beautiful when she's up in the trees, and she's got such a rich gold coat. It's a very, very pretty leopard. Still one of my absolute favorites of all the leopards I've seen. I enjoy spending every second that I can with Tandi, and it's why we put so much effort in. I know a lot of people probably wonder why we sit and every day we try and find the same leopard, and you would think that we would get to a point where we would probably want to try and find other leopards, but for me, I don't know, I could spend time with Tandi every single day. I'm happy to go and track her, and I know that with her, the problem is that even if I try and find her every single day, the chances of finding her every single day are pretty much zero. She's one of those cats, when she doesn't want to be found, she will make sure that she's not found. So hopefully this is going to be a sign of more sightings to come after a sort of hiatus with her, where we've hardly seen much from her. It will be nice if she's going to spend a little bit more time in this particular area. But she's definitely a lot more on Juma than she was 2 weeks ago. I mean, we weren't finding a single track of her. Now we're seeing tracks of her pretty much daily at the moment, which is interesting. So I wonder if he's just responding. I'm baffled as to who the other leopard in the fight was. I was just speaking to Jors about it, because Jors is in the sighting with me, and he said he was at the fighting sighting, and he said to me that he didn't get any photos of the other leopard that was with Shadulu, but he said he got a very short video that he's battling to try and kind of convert so that it's small enough to post. And then once he's got the video right, he'll send it to us, and we'll be able to then ID exactly who that other leopard was. And it might be another mystery little female in the area, or it could be Shadow. If it's Shadow, I'll be more excited than I think if it's anybody else, because just she'll be kind of out of nowhere. She would have appeared again in this area, which is going to be amazing. Right, let's see now. She's still moving away from us with purpose, so it'll be a while to get round to where she is. See, she's gone up onto a bit of a mound now, so I just need to get past this fallen over tree. Don't think Rusty's going to be the same as when we took it out this afternoon, that's for sure. Right, so let's try and get through all of these thickets, try and get back to where Tandi is, and while we do that, let's send to Taylor, who's chilling with her hippopod at Chitwa.
We are just chilling with our hippos. We don't have our feet up like you did earlier today, but we are watching them. They are so precious. I'm hoping that if I'm patient enough, I will get to see the little ones come out onto the islands and play. Oh, looks like an angry hippo now. And they do sort of argue with one another quite a bit within a pod. The little ones tend to keep to themselves and will play off to the side with perhaps, one female watching them. But sometimes when the girls get too close to one another, they get a little bit upset and mouth one another, and those teeth are very sharp. Now, Sean, I'm not exactly sure when their teeth stop growing. Perhaps they don't. Maybe especially those canines, they get really, really long. I don't know if there's a particular point where they stop growing, or if they maybe like tusks that just keep going. And their molars and things, when they're a couple of years old, perhaps it's close to when they become sexually mature. So a female hippo normally becomes sexually mature by around 10. Maybe it's a few years shy of that, and a male is slightly less. I may have got that confused now. I may have swapped that around. No, it is about that. It's about 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. And the boys become sexually mature sort of around that age, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to mate straight away. Remember, there'll be bigger bulls within the area, and they'll have to fight for dominance in order to eventually get a spot to mate. But of course, there's always one youngster that's lucky and sneaks his way in. But I'm unsure about when their teeth stop growing. I'll have to have a look about that. So we know that it's the males that typically mark territory. So Lady Starfire, I would say around, well, I suppose the age of the hippo becomes sexually mature again. So somewhere between 8 years old and onwards, you might find hippo bulls starting to defecate and typically defecating outside of the water, swishing their tail. I reckon you'd start seeing that from around that age. Very chatty. All very, very talkative. And lots of little ones. And always around this time, you know that they start to get active. That's why it's my favorite time to come to the dam. is sort of just as the sun is disappearing. And look at them, very excited to leave the water and go out on a bit of a stroll later on. That must be so exciting. They've been told that they have to stay in the dam all day long. And then finally at night they get to go on this amazing adventure down darkness, down pathways with tall grass. And it must be awesome. I'm sure they get a bit scared though too. These little hippos when they're outside of the water. I'd imagine they're quite nervy. And Mom would be on her toes too, making sure that nobody tries to steal her little one. And at this time of the year, I don't think it's necessary for those females to go too far if they have got young calves at their sides. Because there's lots of vegetation around, lots of greenery. Because if something goes wrong, I mean, ideally she's going to want to run straight towards the water and go back in where she knows she's the safest. But if she's too far away, that can be a little bit of a problem and a little bit hard to do. But I'd love to catch Mom and a tiny calf outside the water. We're still waiting to do that. One day. Now you can hear the chatter, the so Senak, those birds are the ones that are sitting in this knobthorn tree, and they are the red-billed buffalo weavers. Shouting, always talking. They make a serious racket. Luckily there's not too many here. I don't think there's a couple more coming back. I think a few of them could still be out foraging and haven't quite made their way back home to roost. We're waiting for the guinea fowl to come too, because they love to sit up in these trees. They love it. But I haven't actually even heard the guinea fowl today, which is unusual. Oh, there's a go-away bird. Nicely spotted. What's you shouting at? Also making a bit of a noise now. Coming down for a drink. No, don't go too far away. Good birdie. I think it's just being cautious. Just sort of going, maybe if I do that, no one will try and get me. Come on, have a quick drink. You're taking your time. No, not taking a chance. Heading for cover? You feel safe up there, don't you? Funny, maybe it'll come down again. Hello, hippos. Oh, there's so many of them. Who's laughing at who, VM? What is that? Kingfisher. Did it catch something? It did dive down into the water. Beautiful pied kingfisher. Oh, that's stunning. It turned its head and looking back where it's just come from. Perhaps there are a small gathering of fish. Maybe some tadpoles. Who else knows what it could be going after? There's so many different things that lurk in this murky water that this kingfisher would absolutely love to munch on. Come on, hippos, come out the water now, please. I've been begging them. It'd be nice if that kingfisher now then dove down. Hey, VM, it would be perfect. But I don't think it's going to. Right, well, isn't this lovely, sitting down at the beach of Chitwa Chitwa? Right, we're going to hang around here for a little bit longer before we head on off to try and find some leopards. So while we hang about and hope the hippos come out onto the islands, off you go to Steve, who seems to be picking flowers.
Thank you very much. Yes, we have got ourselves a beautiful little bush pea. How gorgeous is that? We have seen them before, and they would have flowered, produced their beans, and then kind of withered away, and now they have flowering again, and once again producing some more peas. We've spoken about these before, and all of those of you out there will know that any bean or pea is part of the legume family, and the legumes have got that a marvelous symbiotic relationship with a mycorrhizal bacteria, which is a nitrogen fixer within the soil. It obviously benefits the plant itself and anything else that is living around it. And then we've got another grass that's right next to it. We've actually got a plethora of them around. You can see this beautiful grass here. You see the inflorescence is a very characteristic inflorescence. And if I grab just another one, that's not the right one. I grab another one, and you can see on the little nodes, there's that stickiness. This is the gummy grass, and it is a favorite growing in sort of what we call seep lines. And if Ferg just pans a little bit sort of that way, you'll see that there's a huge abundance of them. And then what do we have just over here but the famous silver cluster leaf, which is a good indicator of a steep line. So everything this side is where the water coming down the slope from that side comes down, and the water goes up on the surface. It's a reason why you don't get too many trees in this band. And with plants like this, I mean, there's no soil water at all. You can't see any. But with these type of plants, they're very good indicators of what's going on underneath the ground. So important to understand that, and to understand your grasses and your trees, so you can understand the habitat management consequences that go out here. So on that, let's go back down to where there is water and Taylor McCurdy.
Plenty of water, and our friend the kingfisher actually caught a fish. Can you believe it? And then gobbled it up quite quickly. But it's gone fishing again, so maybe it will return. And still waiting for our hippos to come out of the water. Oh, that's quite nice. Hello. So I was just thinking, oh, little one's trying to copy Mum, about that tooth question. I reckon that I'll tell you now. Rebecca, I'm going to ask you for that question in like 2 seconds, but before I forget my train of thought, because I was thinking about the hippo teeth, and I would imagine that those canines wouldn't stop growing. I don't think they would, because it is a source of ivory. So I think that will carry on for the entire life, because sometimes you see big bulls with massive sets of canines. It's pretty impressive. And I mean, I don't think that would grow in such a short period of time. And they're constantly being sharpened too. Okay, Rebecca, I'm ready now. I'm listening. I have to listen with both ears, otherwise I don't hear properly. Now, Indigo Girl, an interesting one from you, about whether hippos will give birth on land so that they can run back into the water. Hippos typically give birth in sort of shallow water, quite close to the water's edge, because they're really vulnerable. Of course, they can give birth out on land too. The problem is when they do something like that, they look excited. There's a little hippo racing over to this one. That's what it's looking at now. Hyenas often hassle hippo cows and their little ones. Rebecca. Oh, look at this. This is so cool. So I think that is Mom. You can see she's got mammary glands are swollen. This will be quite interesting. I've never seen a hippo calf suckling before. That's not where you're going to get milk. But they normally will suckle underwater. I suppose when they are out on land and Mom's been grazing for a few hours, maybe they suckle on land too. But I've never seen this before. Come on, show us how you drink. Careful. Oh, that's so sweet. Noriko, yes, typically hippo calves do suckle underwater. That's why you often see them going up and down that, and because they can't stand. Look how shallow it is there. So that's where the fallen tree is. Oh, someone's been chased up there. There's the green-backed heron desperately trying to run away from the hippos. Oh, it's all happening here. Oh, plop down. See how cautious they are being around that cow. Because if they get a bit too boisterous, she's just going to open her mouth and chase them away. You see, it's like they've been told off now. Shame. It looks so sad. Like, it's okay, fine, don't play with me then. Might not even be its mom. Hippos are fairly social as well, living in family groups together. The other cows will be, to a point, tolerant of the youngsters coming up. I don't know if hippo allo suckle. I've never seen hippos suckling before, because it typically happens underwater. So it would be interesting. I wonder if they're that social that a cow would let another calf come and suckle from it. I doubt it, though. I don't think so. But maybe there's been some studies done in the zoos where they have an aquarium style and they can actually, observe these behaviors. No, Dale, it depends on the sex whether a hippo calf will stay with its mother or not. Normally, if it's a female, she'll just sort of join the pod. She may also move off if there's lack of food, or if there's been sort of disputes. Maybe she's been chased around by a bull and doesn't quite like it and wants to, sort of move off. There's lots of different variations to why a hippo could leave a pod. But the bulls typically move off, and very, very similar to like what happens with elephants, except that elephant bulls carry on going. There will be a male that will stay with the pod. There'll be one territorial bull. So he'll probably be sent on his way, or he'll just have to start hanging around on the outskirts, who won't be paid too much attention at all. And as long as he doesn't show that he's interested in the females within that pod, he'll probably be tolerated by the big bull. Now, it seems as though Tandi has made her way up another tree. I wonder what she's looking for.
She has indeed. She's found an epic branch that just kind of reaches out into the sky, and it almost seems as though she's just kind of suspended in the air at the moment. And just now there was the most amazing light that was out for about 2 seconds that highlighted her, and so I'm hoping there's one more little crack in the clouds that the sun might follow, that we get one more kind of burst of that golden light, because it is really very pretty. But you can see she's made herself very comfortable. In fact, just now, before I started talking, she was actually sleeping, so she was having a bit of a nap, so I don't think she's planning on moving anytime soon. But I'm surprised at her behavior. Tandi is not a cat that we see in trees regularly. She is in trees when she's got carcasses, but outside of that, I can count maybe on one hand the amount of times I've seen her in a tree without a carcass. And today we've seen her go up 2 different trees after scent marking at both of them, and phlegm and grimacing at both of them. So I'm not sure what she's up to and why she's going up into these trees, but interesting anyway. And the way that she's kind of scanning about, it almost seems as though she's using these as big vantage points to check around her area and survey her kingdom, or queendom, should we say. And it really is spoiling us with the most epic of views. Having a leopard up in a tree like that is a very, very special thing, and it's what many people who come to Africa hope to see. And so we're being super fortunate to have her sitting the way that she is at the moment. Like I said, I just like this particular angle because it kind of just seems as though she's just floating in the sky, and it's very seldom you get a background where it's just this kind of blue sky like we've got this evening. And so it will be very, very pretty, especially if she stays up there towards dusk, because we should get a nice bit of color coming out of the sky, and then it should be absolutely beautiful. In fact, actually, it might be quite nice to go around and get some backlighting of her. It might be a bit bright still, but just now it should be very pretty. You can see a few purples and things that are starting to come out, and she's just placed waiting and watching and seeing what's going on. Maybe let's try, Craig. Let's see what it's like with the backlight, because we're not going to get any more sunlight. I'm just looking over to the clouds and see what's going on, because the sun at the moment, well, we'll show you now when I get round her and show you what it looks like from the other side, is really not going to be a chance for us to get any more sort of light on her. So it might be nice just to try a bit of a backlighting situation with that sunset in the background, particularly if we put a bit of light on it somewhere along the car, one of our little sort of floods, not the spotlights, because the floodlights will give us a much better kind of view of what's going on. But we're almost round. Now, I want to know from all of you what you think. So hashtag Safari Live, what do you think Tandi's up to? Do you think that she's marking territory because she's sensed another leopard, or do you think it's because she might have potentially lost her little one? That's what I want to know. Do you think the cub is alive or not? You can just... These trees are not working for me, Craig. This is not going as well as I wanted it to go. But we'll try go a little bit further forward. How's that, Craig? Let's try there for a little bit and just see what we get. It's not ideal, actually, what we've got at the moment, but we'll try and kind of use it. But there's the sun in the background. I'll try and just use a little bit of light just to give it a little bit of kind of color on her. But difficult. She's not quite behind the sunset, so we can't quite get a silhouette, and there's so many branches and trees in the way. I'm not sure we will get it, but we'll try and kind of figure it out. Either way, still an epic view of a leopard with a sunset in the background, and like I say, it doesn't get much better than that at all. Good, well, we'll try and fiddle about just see what we can get, see if we can get a better sort of view of what's going on, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Taylor, who I believe is messing around with some hornbills.
Well, they want to mess around with me. Actually, we're not messing around with one another at all. No. Me throwing a tantrum. Why? Hornbill, why? Because eating the termites, let's go see how the termites feel about the fact that they were being eaten. Shall we see? It's pecked away quite a bit of the soil. We might be able to see in it. These mounds have got big too. Oh yeah, there they are. That's too close, Avium. Oh, actually, no, that's perfect. Look at them. Going, help! Help! Some fat termites there. Where are the soldiers? There's a big soldier on the left. Moving around. Helping the workers. Telling everybody to get away, get away. Now the reinforcements are coming in to repair it. Before that hornbill can come back and eat them again. I'm very busy. Look at them. Already. They've already got soil. Repositioning. Building. Perhaps they're taking some of the old material that could cause an avalanche away. I don't think that would cause an avalanche. It would just collapse. But they are very busy and so delicious too. I mean, I don't blame the hornbill for sitting here and specifically searching for termites. They are a good source of protein and a bit of other things. And lots of different animal species out here will actually feed on them. They're lovely. Those ones look like they've got too much soil to eat though, so we'll give it a skip. Oh, shame, VM. Look at those ones. I'm surprised that there's another mound. So this is a whole network here. Those ones are working even harder. But they weren't being attacked. You can see they're not as stirred up as the others. And now how they get that to stick is that they mix the soil with their saliva. And then they place it in strategic spots. They're so pretty. It's quite cool, right? Well, it seems as though Steve must have termites in his pants because he's now climbed to the top of one. I wonder what he's doing up there.
Not quite in our pants, but I am indeed joined by Herbie, my main man, on top of a marvelous termite mound. We moved into the area as we heard impala alarm calling, and as we came closer we realized the impala alarm calling because of us. Both Herbie and Ferg eat meat, so they saw the meat eaters, they smelt them, and they alarm called. They're still shouting at us. It's quite hard for you to pick up the sound from my mic here, but they're still looking at us and shouting from a distance. But isn't this just... This is the reason we do this. Look at that sky. It is just absolutely remarkable being out here. Nice vantage point. It's pretty clear, pretty open. Thought I'd enjoy a little bit of a moment on top of the termite mound with Herbie, who's also just back from leave this morning. So he's feeling fresh, he's feeling strong, up for the bushwalks. Bushwalk team number 1. Fantastic, hey Herbs? How was your leave?
That's good.
It's good. Yeah, what did you do?
Resting.
You're resting, eh? He works hard, so he rested. Some of us go on leave to rest, but we don't really rest. We party a little bit too much, and then we come back just as tired as we did before. Okay, so while on top of this termite mound, what I find marvelous and interesting, if Ferg comes a little bit closer, is you can actually see the grazing line of the termite mound because of the grazing animals all the way around. You can see to this point here how it's being grazed completely there, and past this line how the grass is not grazed. And I can go in a full circle and you'll see how the animals are preferring to eat the grass growing off the termite mound than the grass growing on the left, purely because the nutrients in the soil here are far greater than the nutrients on the left, and that's because of the recycling properties that the termites go through. The nutrients going back into the soil, so the grasses are much sweeter, even if it is the same species as over here. The sweetness in the grass. I'm sure you've had a tomato in your life, or an apricot, or some form of fruit that just tastes far better than another. That's exactly what is going on. So that is the browsing line, or the grazing line, and amazing the ecology of this area. So it looks like Tristan has managed to get in a better position to have a look at Tandi. Let's go to him.
Well, it's not great in terms of the sunsets. Unfortunately, that was just not going to work. We just couldn't get into the right place for that. But we've got a great view of Tandi just kind of staring out over the savannah with her paws placed on the sort of view of the tree and her just staring off into the distance. So it's an absolutely beautiful kind of spot that she's found herself in, and a wonderful marina to sit in. It's a nice branch, that's for sure. Only thing I would say is probably that branch that goes off to the left is blocking things a little bit, but otherwise it's perfect. And where we're sitting here, we've got this magnificent view of her, and she's locked onto something because she hasn't taken her gaze off that direction at all. She just keeps staring in that sort of area the whole time. So I don't know what it is that's there that's appealing to her, but there's definitely something that's interesting her, and she's kind of watching and trying to see exactly what's going on there. But look at that. Isn't that wonderful? I think so. She's very kind of perky as well to what's going on. It's that time of the day now where there should be other creatures starting to move around. I'm pretty sure she's going to be in hunting mode tonight, given that her sort of belly is rather thin. There we go, she's going to come down now. Unfortunately, we're not in a great spot to watch her come down, but it's okay. Can't always win them all. But there she goes. You see her just kind of coming, and down she goes, ever so graceful, as only leopards can. Now you can see there's a big branch in our way, but she's going to walk towards our direction. She's heading straight to where she was staring, so I wonder if maybe she spotted a prey animal that she wants to now go and hunt. She's going to cross behind us. I do apologize about any wires or the back of the car. Unfortunately, she's gone in that direction, and so we're not going to see sort of too much of her as she crosses behind us. But let's try and kind of... So Francis, you say you hope that she's just protecting a cub that she's scent marking, and Ed, you reckon that the cub is probably gone. So it's a bit of a difficult one at the moment. I think we're all in the same boat, is that we don't really know for sure. But like I say, from the experience that most of us have had with leopards, and particularly females with cubs, is that, you know, when they start displaying signs like this and start doing these kind of things, it's very seldom a good outcome. But I'm hoping. I mean, Taylor had tracks, and you know, seemed like they were fairly good tracks. And then there was also a situation where, you know, we had Tandi going back to that area this morning, and we'll just see. I mean, tomorrow morning will give a good indication. If we have tracks going back into that same block, then it's a pretty good indication that probably that little one is still with us and still around, which will be quite nice. So let's hope, live in hope, because we don't want our little one gone. But even if it is alive, the chances for it to stay alive is going to be so difficult. I mean, it's a situation where she's fighting against all the odds in order to try and keep... Look, she's chuffing. Why are you chuffing? Her behavior is very strange. An impala's alarm called. I don't know if it's seen her. Look, she's now coming back this way. Why was she chuffing, though? Can you hear the impala snorting in the background? Unless she was just getting upset with the impala, and that's maybe why she was just sort of growling at the impala. Maybe she made her approach too quickly. She's sneaking around the back of the car. Where are you off to, Tandi? What's going on here? I can't even see the impala, so I don't know what the story is and why this impala is shouting. Is there another leopard here? Is there a situation where she's just been spotted by being overzealous? I don't see this impala, but it's kind of snorting right here. Yeah, there it is right there. So it is facing in this direction, so it must have just seen her. It's just that she's obviously got herself too out in the open too quickly. Just careful, Craig. Let's try and lift that over the camera so we don't get ourselves into trouble as we try and do a big turn to go back to where Tandi went. For a second there, I thought maybe she had seen another leopard, that she was making that sort of face, but it's more the impala. Now, sorry, Rebecca, if you can just repeat that. The guys are shouting on the radio today, and it's very difficult to hear what's going on. So, Matt, a chuff is a contact call for a leopard, a low, very sort of small contact call, and it's basically a little That's the kind of sound that they make, and they use it if they come into contact with other leopards, or if they have a situation where they are calling their cubs, they use it. So that's why I thought maybe, just maybe, she had seen something, but alas, it doesn't seem that way. Craig, did you see where she went? Problem is she's sneaking about now. She's trying to keep a low profile, so spotting her is going to be a little on the tough side. I think we might have lost her, to be honest, for now. The impala's still shouting at ghosts because Tandi's long gone since that impala started shouting. So while I try and see if I can find where she went in this thicket, let's send you back across to Taylor, who I think has left Chitwa Dam.
We did leave the dam before we got eaten alive by mosquitoes, because that happens every night at that dam. It's terrible. And VM and I are taking a very slow cut line because we have a feeling that we're going to find Hosanna. Have you found him yet, VM? Me neither. But we're looking, though. That's what counts, is that we are looking for Hosanna. So we're just going to check, because he was last seen, I think, in Torchwood, moving around. He likes this sort of corner. I have yet to see any tracks crossing in, but that's why we are going quite slowly, that the engine isn't rumbling too much, and that if there are any birds, which will be fairly active now, they're normally quite active in this last 10-15 minutes, that there's light before they go quiet and start chirping only tomorrow morning, or unless it's full moon, and they chirp then too. So they could be out on their perches with a good view of what's around them, and if they see that leopard, they're going to tell us. They will tell us. So let's hope that that's the case. He's, yeah, sort of, I think if we just keep checking between Central and back down towards Gowrie Main, where Cheetah Cut Line intersects them, I think we should have a good chance. Otherwise, we'll mosey on back in and go and check around Treehouse Dam again, maybe go a little bit further west to see if we can, of course, maybe see Hukumuri. I don't know where he went this morning. I was terrible. I've got to get an update as to where they had his tracks. I know they didn't find him. I'm just having a scratch. And maybe Tingana will be out tomorrow morning. I also have a feeling about that. Okay. No one here. Let's just go up a little bit further. That's Mamba anyway. Not the road that I wanted to be at. It's getting dark now. So quickly. I have to pull my spotlight up. Ooh, here's my favorite thing to talk about in the whole world. Russin elephant dung. It's great stuff, that, especially the dried version. So there we go. That's a natural mosquito repellent. You just have to burn it, and it's quite amazing. It smells quite nice too. It smells like you've put different flavors of teas together and some leaves, and you've burnt them, and depending on what the elephant has eaten, it will all smell different. So it's quite cool. You can use. And then I've heard if you take wild basil as well and rub it on yourself, that's supposed to help keep the mosquitoes away. I haven't tried that though. I normally just burn the elephant dung. Those are some very upset birds. Bex, where's Tristan? You know. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. If he's there, something upset those birds. I think there's a road coming up. Ferrari Safari. I think we might have to get onto Drakensberg Road to have a quick look around there. Now, there was some serious chirping and some very unhappy birds. We never make it through there. That block is so thick. Okay, here's the road. Meow. Oh, okay. That's okay. So Tristan's not here. This is also not a road. That's a mitre drain that I was seeing. If we might, it'll be a bit of a detour, but I'm pretty sure if we get onto Drakensberg South, or north, maybe there's north here. Meow. Whee! My favourite part, Ferrari safaring. It is so much fun. Okay, this is actually a road. Just want to go and have a look and see what's causing those things, making those birds fly. We're just trying to get there fairly quickly. Again, I don't know if it was between two roads. If it's in that block, it's going to be a nightmare, and I can't get out my car and go walking now. It's a bit too dangerous. You can see how the light is fading fairly quickly. You don't want to be walking around at night. That's a very silly thing to do. Predators start to look at you a little bit different. And, well, just don't do it. Not allowed to. I'm telling you, you are not allowed to walk around at night in the bush, ever. You can go from your room to the lodge, but if it's in a big 5 area, then maybe ask your guide, your trained guide, to assist you. Don't be a hero, because I promise you right now, your legs will not be trained to stand still. You'd want to run. Now, somebody that is not going to be walking in the dark tonight is Steve, and I have no doubt he'll be almost close to home. So let's go and figure out what's ruffled these birds' feathers. And, well, I'm going to send you to Steve, which I'm sure will be his last time to chat with you until tomorrow.
Yes, thanks, Taylor. We are on our way back. And as we came through the quarantine section, which is just north of our camp or south of our camp, nice big herd of impala there. And they've been running away doing that typical rocking horse gait, which is indicating how fit and how strong they are. They're running, and they'll be going up and down, up and down. Again, they've seen the meat eaters in the group, and they are trying to show us which one is strong enough not to catch. So we won't be catching any impala tonight, but as I said, we are slowly on our way back. So from myself and Fergus and Herbie on the Bushwalk team, we are going to be saying goodnight on our way back before it gets too dark in the African wilderness, as we listen to the birds quietly call out their chorus, the last rays of the sun's setting. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning, and let's go back over to Taylor and see if she's found out what's flushed her birds.
Everybody wave bye-bye to Steve. Bye-bye, Steve. It's like the Teletubbies. So we're down on Drakensberg now, having a scratch around. And I even have my trusty spotlight, which I like to use as a lightsaber. Beam, you should also get one, and then we can have fights. Or should we just get sticks? We could just use sticks. Fire sticks. We'll use fire sticks. We can do that. Okay, this is kind of the area. Oh. It seems as though Tristan is now having mechanical difficulties. That's so funny. I don't know what's happened. Oh no, I hope he manages to stick with Tandi to see where she goes. Now he's just stuck in the bush. Should we go rescue him? I'm trying to think, Rebecca. I've got jumper cables in my car. If you need. If it's... No, my physical car. My car keys are in my room. Tristan's battery has died in his car, and I don't think. So I'm just talking to Rebecca now. I don't think the workshop is going to be open. I'm sure. I don't know if Opar is going to be around. So if you want, I don't know where they are in my car. Either in the back seat or in the boot, the trunk of the car. I don't know, but you're welcome to use them. Oh my gosh, I know what that means. So if Tristan's got no battery, he's got no power. Which means, you guessed it, you're stuck with me. How much fun. Let's find something then. Okay, this is going to be interesting. I would like to go and watch Tristan though, and just point and laugh at him for a little bit, because it's always funny when we get stuck. And not that he got stuck on purpose. He's not the Marshmallow Queen, because there's no such thing as a Marshmallow King. There's only a Marshmallow Queen title that gets given out. I was walking here. And there are also some tracks over my vehicle tracks. Hyena. Hyenas have been walking here. And you know what? Let's go this way. Let's go down Mamba. Go and look through here. Maybe we'll try and find a chameleon. It's a beautiful evening. Oh my goodness. Okay, here comes the challenge, everybody. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? We are going to do some sort of a burst round of questions. So send through any random question, doesn't matter what it's about, and we're going to do them in sets of 5. So it's going to be like rapid fire. And go! Send them in, and then Rebecca's going to choose 5 very quickly, and then I'm going to answer them as quick as possible. We will try my best to answer them as quick as possible. I'm going to search for comedians in the meantime. Oh, you get 60 seconds and counting to send your questions through. Get them all in. Let's get this game going. Are you ready, VM? Are you ready? Stretching? You are not stretching though. VM's getting the infrared ready. I'm going to loosen up a bit. No, don't want to be unprepared. Want to pull a muscle answering questions quickly. Okay, no comedians. Also, I do apologize if there are any little gremlins. I promise you they won't last for long as I go through here. It's just not the greatest of roads, but I will try and move away from here. We'll quickly shoot through the Mulati eventually and then go up towards Treehouse Dam, because that's always quite nice. And the leopards seem to... Oh, here we go. Nicholas, you're wondering if this is live. This is live. This is happening right now. What is the time, Nicholas? Well done on rapid fire. It is 5 minutes past 6 Central African time. The date is the 5th of April, 2018. I was hoping that I was going to get the date right because I didn't actually know. Oh, next question. Ooh. An animal that we could definitely see tonight, equalizer, is a black-backed jackal. Yes, they are found in the Sabi Sand. We just don't see them too often because the vegetation is quite thick. We did see a couple hanging around the elephant carcass, which were the bones that we were looking at earlier on the Sunset Safari. And next one, Rebecca, go, go, go. Keep them coming. Ooh. Lozzie, I like to think that animals have best friends. Whether they do or not, I'm not so sure. So I like to think of Gregory as my best friend in camp because she gets very excited when she sees me. Gregory is a tortoise. I've never seen a tortoise get excited when it sees a person, but as she does. She definitely does. She knows she'll get a little snack, though. She's cheeky. Oh, right, back onto the tortoise topic, Alan Girl. The differences between the terrapin and the tortoises are the following. Well, a tortoise can retract its neck all the way in, and it brings its legs around to protect it. Its legs are actually quite tough with little humps and bumps on them, and are typically on land, except the leopard tortoise. Sometimes you think that they're drowning, but they're not. They can swim. And then tortoises just have claws. Terrapins have got sort of webbing between their claws. They also are, well, so spend most of their time in water. They do come out and bask in the sun on the sides of the bank. Basking is when you tell stories when they're not truthful stories. So yes, there we go. Those are the typical differences. And a terrapin cannot pull its head all the way back. Ooh, Rihanna, now I'm hungry. What's my favorite meal? Ooh, prawns. Anything with prawns. I think that's my favorite meal. Is it? I like a salad with prawns and rocket leaves and cherry tomatoes and maybe some shavings of parmesan with a Thousand Island style sauce, something along those lines, or a paprika aioli maybe also. So something along those lines was my favorite. I also may be addicted to sushi. I'm being told off now on FC that I'm being fancy. I'm not being fancy. I was asked what my favorite meal is. It is. I love anything with prawns. Thank you, Rihanna. Right. What are we going to find now? Thank you for those fast 5 questions. That was lots of fun. I hope you enjoyed playing the game. Come on, comedian. Let's find one. Hey, Debbie. Well, this is quite an interesting one because it's about where are the bats and where are they roosting on Djuma. So if you ask Ali, you all know Ali, Tristan's girlfriend, she helps out every now and then on the live drives. If you ask her, on her toothbrush will be her response, and it'll be at Chitwa. I've never seen them roosting here at Djuma myself. They love it in sort of thatched rooms. The lodges have got thatched rooms. Normally they find their way in there, or if you've got a nice outdoor with a big undercover area the outside. They'll roost up in there. Otherwise, in trees, in thick things, but I haven't actually found any. Some of them are so small, they might. Oh, there's a nightjar. Look, animal. No, please, why are they flying away? We were counting on this thing. Oh well, there was a nightjar. VM is also now in infrared, as you can see. Oh, let's stop and check these trees properly. No, just little holes from all the caterpillars that have been feasting upon them. Made some picture break. Promise. I'll go through it as quick as I can. Hold on, VM. I'm going to go quickly. Yay. Oh. Oh no. Okay, it seems as though that didn't work. The gremlins held on for longer. Off you go to Tristan, who has managed to start his car.
Now, I believe Taylor's having a few issues with a few gremlins, which we've also just dealt with in mass at the moment. So Rusty just wouldn't start at all. So we've lost Tandi completely. We weren't able to try and follow her because the battery died. And so we're in a situation now where we're just trying to get ourselves out of this block, and it is proving to be quite difficult. And I don't know if it was the battery, actually. It's not the battery situation. The car just wouldn't start at all. So it's not that, it's something electrical, but we'll try and figure it out. Maybe one of the relays is a bit dirty or something like that. So we'll get it right eventually, but we're just trying to make our way out. We're not too far from Central Road. Central should be straight in front of me where I am, just in front here somewhere. And so we're just slowly puttering that way. Also, Tandi was kind of heading in this direction, so maybe we'll bump into her as we go along. But we lost her quite quickly after you last had us. She went round the back of the car, and that was the end of it. We didn't see her again after that. So I don't know where she ran off to and where she actually is now. But we're trying to get out of here, but the grass is so long. You have to kind of go extremely slow, particularly now in the night, because I can't see very well. I can't see stumps and those kind of things, so I'm trying not to kill Craig and I, and just trying to go very slowly. But I think there's some sanctity coming up. I recognize this particular marula from Central Road, so we shouldn't be too far now. We should be able to actually find Central pretty quickly. You can see where the Ellies have been feeding during the marula season. There's no grass here. It's all open and clear. Thank you, Ellies, for that. Makes life a lot easier, and you can actually see how the paths run to marula, to marula, to marula as they went, which is pretty cool. So we're still just kind of scanning around for her as we go, just in case. But hopefully we can get ourselves out of here. Now, I can't turn the car off, unfortunately, so even if we did find her, I would need to leave the car running because we've got it up and running, and I want to just try to get us home before we turn off. And so while we try and get out, let's send you back across to Taylor, who seems to have got her signal issues sorted out.
Tristan, I hope you guys make it home safely, and don't stall. What's that? Nightjar. Oh. I'm going to leave a little bit of light on. Oh, come back, please. Please, Nightjar. This is my luck today. Not one bird wants to stay put. How rude. Anyways, it's fine. I'll remember that. Nightjars didn't want to help us out. Throw us a bone. Right, there's some little mud wallows here. Maybe there'll be something having a drink. Is there? No. Not anything. Oh, I see some. Let me drive to the edge of the. Oh, I don't want to fall in the mud wallow. I think we might see some spiders. Now let's see if I can find those glowing eyes again. Yeah, in the center there's something glowing. If you keep going, and you might be able to see it. There's like a bit of splash of water in your center frame, and there's something that's there. I don't know what that is, but it's reflecting. It might be a little stone, that white thing. Okay, well, that doesn't help us. That was not great. Let me quickly do a quick shine. You can see that eye shine there, Liam. I don't know what that is, but up to the left of that is there's a spider. Can you see it? There it is. Haha. Can you all spot the spider? There's a stick on the right-hand side, and then you can see it. It's a little one. It's probably a little wolf spider of sorts. There's normally lots of them running around at night. It'd be quite cool. Maybe you need to take its opportunity to try and catch some insects that will come down to the water's edge, so that's quite nice to see. Let me try down here. No. No one else, sadly. No one. Okay. I can hear some scop owls and things in the distance. That's nice. Being blinded. Right. Chameleon time. Yeah. Oh, there's a nightjar of him. Now, the chameleon that I'm looking for, Rainbow D, is a flap-neck chameleon. It's the only species that we get in this area. However, there are quite a few other species of chameleons in South Africa. When you go along the west coast, you start to see some interesting ones. Oh, it's still there. I didn't even see it. It flew, and it must have laid back down again. Can't catch a nightjar. That's for sure. Also, I just would like to bring up something. Yesterday afternoon, it's still in my brain. I can't get it out of my head. I just keep thinking about it. That heron that was pretending to be the duck was just amazing. Obviously, it wasn't pretending to be a duck, but I've never seen them like paddle out like that before. And I think that that's such a clever fishing technique, especially when you don't see a lot of cormorants or oh my goodness, I've dropped everything. Cameras falling. All sorts of things. So especially when you don't see a lot of cormorants and African darters, you know, that will swim down and then sort of sit on the surface of the water. I've never seen either of those two bird species actually at Buffelshoek Dam, just a couple of things. So I think that it was successfully catching fish too, actually more so than when you see them wading on the outskirts. So that was something cool. And I believe Steve saw it for the first time too, just the other day. That's nice, hey? I mean, you can be guiding for such a long time and still see new things, which is amazing. No, it's so fascinating to work out here. Now, I promise I'm going to find you a chameleon. I'm going to try my best, but in order for me to search properly, I have to make sure that I keep my eyes where my spotlight is pointing. I apologize if I don't flutter my eyelashes as much as I normally do to all of you, but I'm sure you all understand. This is how we want to find things, and also don't want to drive over a nightjar. It's the perfect evening for a chameleon. It's warm. I think we have, nightjar, flying nightjar. I'm just catching this. See, I'm not shining on the road down ahead to spot the nightjars. There isn't one. Look how, you know how annoying this is. It is the fruit, if you go down a little bit, Viam, there we go. It's the fruit from the large fruited bush willow, which drives me up the wall because it looks like a chameleon. It's the same color that one sort of reflects back at you. And I got so excited when I realized that. I was like, oh, there's 6 chameleons on this tree. I went, probably not one. Okay, well, while we desperately try and find you an actual chameleon, let's see if Tristan has found himself a road.
Not yet, Taylor. We're still trying to get there. It is almost impossible with the amount of fallen over trees. Well, all we're doing is just going side to side, trying to find a way through and kind of punch our way down towards Central. We're not far from Central. It's just that we're battling to actually find a way to get to it. And so we're just kind of meandering through here. I mean, who knows what we'll bump into. Maybe we'll bump into something fun on the way. You never know with these things. Although it's not like you can see anything because this grass is so long that it's very difficult to see much. But what is nice is that there is lightning in the distance. So there we go. Here's Central right here. Finally. Craig? Is that better now? Poor Craig. No, don't worry, Taylor. No need to bring us dinner. We're not going to still be stuck. But let's not turn off the car. But you can see on the horizon at the moment is that there is a massive storm that's brewing, and there's some lightning that is coming in that direction. It's lightning to our south, and so I think we might get a big storm this afternoon, or this evening, should I say, which will be definitely, I think, welcome in terms of rain. It's going to make everything a lot thicker and harder to find, but it's going to still be good for the area and what we need. Phew, that was quite an effort to get through this block. It's a long way inside there, but at least we managed to kind of do it. Now, theoretically, Tandi should pop out somewhere here. I would pay attention to the dam camp tonight. Wouldn't be surprised she makes an appearance there once again. She's kind of heading in that direction, so I would imagine she's going to pop out. You never know, maybe she's on the road in front of us and we'll pick her up at some point. But it's at least been an epic afternoon with her. We had a really nice long sighting, which is good. Now, I've also got something that's caught on the bottom of the car, so let's just get rid of that quickly. No, it's not coming out. No. So we're still going to have a bit of a rattle. I don't even know if it's something that's caught on the car or if it's a little piece of metal that might be loose, given what we went through this afternoon. Maybe that's what it is. There's a little protector for the discs of the brake that sometimes rattles a bit loose, so we'll just have to check that when we get back. But for now, we'll just try and keep meandering back home. So, Joy, the Carcass cam is now down permanently, I'm afraid. So the batteries on the Carcass cam died, and because the Carcass is pretty much done, there's really not much left there anymore. We decided that we would take it down, unfortunately. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you had fun. So you have a problem, so you're going to have to get out the way. But unfortunately, like I say, I mean, it had to come to an end at some point, and so with the batteries dying, we decided to remove everything and just get it all looking back to normal again. So Conrad and Nikki did all of that during the course of today and have taken it down for the time being. Hopefully we'll get another sort of something that we can use it for. We've been plotting all kinds of ideas as to try and kind of what we can use the sort of nest cam for. And you never know, maybe we get something else that happens out here, maybe another carcass, or maybe even something like a nest or something like that we can put it on at some point. So that's kind of going to be projects in the future, but for now it is down. Right, well, we're heading slowly home. We're going to try and get back to camp without stopping, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Taylor and see if she's managed to find one of those chameleons yet.
No. Biam, what's that? Can you see that shiny thing in there? I think it up a little bit. What are we even looking at? No, I don't know where we're looking. No, I think it might be a little bit actually too high. Okay, I think it might be a moth, but it's going to be hard for VM to see. I think he's just too tall, and the camera, it's all sort of angled at the wrong area. I saw a chameleon here with Craig the other night, and they do tend to stick to the same tree, not necessarily the same branch. So I'm just hoping that it is going to be around. It was on the right-hand side of the road, somewhere here. Let me check nicely for you. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life, Rebecca. I can't even repeat it. You get a ponytail shake. Let's. I don't know what's going on in Final Control. They've all lost their minds today. All of them. Right. Come on, chameleon. There's bush willows here, and they've been loving the bush willows lately. See, they're full of leaves at the moment, so it makes it quite easy for them to hide in the bush willows, which is, of course, what they want. Oh. I know I'm going to be able to find it. I know what's going to happen is that the show's going to end, and then I'm going to find one. They always do this to me. All the time. Oh no, I think we may have missed our chameleon tree. Although there was only one on the tree. It's not like there was a whole lot of them. Let's not drive into the marula. Okay, what we're going to do now then is we'll stop looking for chameleons and we're going to go and look for bush babies instead. So we'll go down this way. Chameleon predators you're asking about, hey Mina? I know snakes like to eat them. Snakes love to eat a chameleon. Southern ground hornbills, oh my goodness, when they can find them, they'll snap them right up. I think there'll be a lot of other bird species that will feed on them, so any birds that are feeding on reptiles will happily eat a chameleon. A hornbill, even a yellow-billed hornbill, will eat a chameleon if it can find one. And that's why chameleons are particularly vulnerable when they're out in the open, because then they're spotted by a number of different things and will be gobbled on up. But boomslangs, which we've seen twice, we've seen an adult and we've also seen a juvenile, love to eat, and a specialist. So I suppose a vine snake that also is quite arboreal, and so same thing goes for a green mamba, will probably specialize in catching things like chameleons. So lots of different predators, which is why they need to hide away. Oh, there's a spinnacorp, a spider. What do we have? And a bark spider. Don't run away, it's trying to make an escape. What light works best for him? No light. No light. Hello, little spider. Working very hard, playing the guitar on its strings. Doing, 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 doing. Just joking. It's probably not doing that. It does look like a little bark spider. Now, bark spiders love building webs. They're very good at building their webs, and they put them up at night time, and then they bring them down again at night. In the morning, which is quite cool. Either that or they end up on a guide's face. That's normally the case, getting wrapped around as they go driving about. And this one's very, very busy, and hoping that some little midges and things will get stuck in its web. But I don't see too many around tonight, actually. Normally they're very, very busy, those midges. It almost looks like it's climbing on nothing. It's a magic trick. How quickly it goes. Climbing all the way up. It's quite a big web too. And I suppose the bigger your web, the better chance you have of catching something. However, it actually looks like it's building it. Still adding some more layers to it. And the bigger your web, the more maintenance you've got to do, like what the spider is doing at the moment. Going round and round and round. Oh, let's go to Tristan.
Now, we've got a honey badger, guys, so we're trying to keep up with it. It's busy running away from us at the moment, so it's just in the grass. I don't know if you can see it there. I'm going to turn off to see if it'll stop. So there, Craig, in the grass. I don't know if you can pick it up. Just moving away from us. There goes the honey badger. You see it? It's got its little head poking up. Now, I've turned the car off, so if we can't start, I do apologize, but it's worth it for a honey badger. So I'm trying to see where it's gone. Let's try and just go forward. Now Taylor, I see, is not far, so Taylor, if she can rush forward a little bit to where I am, maybe she'll get it crossing the road and getting it kind of running in front of her, which is going to be interesting. But it was just here in front of me. Where did it go? The impalas were alarm calling. That's how we actually heard it, is because the impala's alarm call, and we're in this area. Now it should have run towards where Taylor was. Where did you go, little honey badger? Did you go down into a mound or something? Because I can't find it now. But we got a brief view, hopefully. Maybe Taylor's got it there in front. No, Taylor. Quick link to Taylor.
Okay, we've got it. We saw the honey badger. It's running in the grass. I just got to figure out where. There it goes. Is it? No, it's gone into the long grass, which makes it impossible for us to see any. It was on the road. It was running straight down the road, like Tristan said. Oh, that's a pity. I saw it, though. VM, you saw it. Oh, very cool, though. What a pity. Oh, it was quite nice. I have not seen a honey badger in a very, very long time. Very cool. Ah, next time.